Good evening, everyone. My name is Laura Schifrin, and I will call the meeting of the Select Board to order on August 19th, 2025 at 6 p.m. Roll call.
Veronica Kell present.
Valerie Goodrich present.
And Laura Schifrin present. Would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to thank all of our veterans who are serving and those who are currently serving here and abroad, all of our first responders, as well as all of our elected and appointed officials and their families who all support our community. .4 additions or deletions. I think I'm going to do that as I go along, because I have notes on certain things that may be deleted or moved to another meeting. 1.5, review and approve the meeting minutes for May 13th, 2025 and July 15th, 2025. Do I have a motion?
I move that we approve the meeting minutes for May 13th, 2025 and July 15th, 2025.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
On the 7:15 ones, I know that we're using the AI note taker somewhat. For these, I believe that all of the motions and seconds, most of them, are reversed.
Yes.
So did somebody let her know that or
Yes.
no? You did?
Yes, and I
Okay.
think that she was checking, she's gonna recheck the video and she'll make those adjustments as necessary.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we approve subject to that?
Hang on, she did make the
I
change
gave her notes too.
to 513 that I had recommended. Anyway, yeah, I think that's mostly it. There was one where you were the person saying it and it was me, et cetera, et cetera. So the voices, the AI bot doesn't quite have the voices right
Yeah.
now.
Okay,
But it will learn.
I think we're still gonna have to look and watch.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Do you want me to amend subject to?
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
please.
I move that we approve the meeting minutes for May 13th, 2025 and July 15th, 2025, pending review of the video for slight changes.
Second to the amendment.
A second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Veronica Kell, aye.
Valerie Goodrich, aye.
And Marcia Bernard. Thank you very much. Okay, I am going to move down to 4.10. And Alex, do you want to join us at the table, and Chief?
Sure.
4.10 for the audience is to discuss movie scenes being filmed at Cherry Hill Ice Cream on September 8th, 2025. Alex?
So, hi, my name is Alex Miller. I am the assistant location manager on Super Troopers 3. We have been looking in towns for a long time. Actually, back in April, I was here. We were looking at farms with the Shepherds. Unfortunately, the farms didn't quite make sense, but we were still pushing to have something made in town for this movie because we really love the town. And, it's very close to our other sets in the movie. So, we got Cherry Hill to make sense as what's going to be turned into a truck stop in the movie. And basically, our truck stop is basically, I can't say too much about the movie, but essentially it's where our troopers in the movie, if you're familiar with the movies, they have an encounter with what's supposed to be the villain or one of the bad guys. And they suspect that there is drug paraphernalia in this tanker truck, essentially, that's at this truck stop. And long story short, it turns into the sequence where they have to send in a bomb squad, and they accidentally explode this truck. We're not actually blowing up a truck, but they're doing it in visual effects, and movie magic style. But the ask is to have basically this tanker truck, and our special effects team is gonna have some sort of gag where basically a bunch of maple syrup comes out and spills all over everybody in the parking lot. So it's gonna be the troopers. We're gonna have about probably 20 to 25 background actors in the scene. And we are sort of looking, so the truck will sort of be parked in front of Cherry Hill, and Cherry Hill is supposed to be, it's gonna be dressed as a or it's not a gas station, as a truck stop. So they're gonna change the signage a bit. We're not sure if we're gonna keep the Cherry Hill name yet. There's still some debate about that, but basically for the weekend prior to our filming, it's gonna have a slightly different name. So basically people in town it'll be a movie set for a weekend until we film it on the Monday. And so basically the ask, and I've been talking to Lieutenant Peach about basically doing a potential detour on Main Street because there's going to be some angles where we're looking sort of at the road, and for noise purposes and also for visual purposes, there would be an ask to just sort of reduce the flow of traffic that day during our takes when we're looking directly that way. And there's a couple takes that I think scripted are about 3 minutes. So we had some discussion about whether we hold the traffic and then release it after 3 minutes or how that would work. And it feels like, depending on the time of day, it may make more sense to detour the traffic there just so that we don't cause a massive, traffic jam in town. So, there's some further discussions to be had about it, but basically, we've started the conversation with the police department, and we wanted to make sure the town wasn't just like, oh, you guys, we are doing our due diligence to make sure we do it right and make sure that it's done in a way that's safe and that we don't cause too much of a headache for the town. And obviously it's one day, it's kind of a cool thing. It's not a boring construction site. So we hope that people would be willing to give us a shot to kind of do this and make everybody as happy as we can be. And then, it's a cool thing when it comes out, it's sort of forever ingrained in cinema history. So that's the pitch. And basically the time frame is probably between our total footprint is probably 8 a.m. to like 6 p.m. But filming is going to be way less than that. It's a lot of setup, a lot of prep, and during that time, traffic will flow as normal. It would just be when we actually go to do the scenes and do the recording that they would, we'd have to interrupt traffic. And we'll leave it up to the police to decide how exactly we do that, whether it's the detour or it's the holding of traffic. And I think it will vary throughout the days. If we can just stop time for a minute and let it go, I think that's easier than detouring. But for the longer stuff, I think we probably want to detour so we don't cause a jam.
So Lieutenant Peach has probably thought about school hours.
Yes. Right. We did discuss.
It's the weekend, you said.
No, so it's going to be
Not
dressed
for
on
film.
Friday.
Oh,
Over the
for-
weekend, it'll look like the set, but we're actually going to film it on the Monday.
Okay.
And there was basically, we will avoid shooting during like rush hour morning traffic and end of day stuff. So it would be midday.
Dismissal, yeah.
I think we try to target sort of the sweet spot of like probably 11 to like 3, 11 to 2, something like that range.
School gets out at 2.
2, okay. So we'll work with it. We'll figure out the school schedule. We'll basically plan our days around that because we also break for lunch at some point. So we'll be off site for an hour or so. And maybe we time that out where it's when school's getting out so that we can, once that traffic dies down, yeah. We'll strategize and plan it in a way that's as least of an impact as possible to the overall traffic in town.
Okay.
Chief?
Sure, yeah, we've engaged in conversations already. As long as the detail is properly staffed, the communication component about best traffic or emergency management or fire department ambulances, that we can handle that based on who we have and staffing. We're gonna make sure it's adequately marked if we do end up doing some diversions and some detours. As you know, detouring off 119, one way is very easy. The other way, it's a little bit of a spaghetti supper type thing. So we'll make sure we have adequate signage for when that happens. We also have an outreach that we'll do for traffic interruptions like this, where we put it out on our social media. We have a traffic group on our civilian alert system that we can put it out to as well, kind of get ahead of it a little bit. But given what they're saying and the flexibility that they'll allow, I think we'll be okay. Again, I think adequate staffing is the critical piece of that. But other than that, stopping 119 sporadically throughout a day is not an unusual thing. We do that fairly often for tree work and for other things anyways. Doesn't seem like it's going to be a major lift for us, provided adequate staffing is in place.
To respond to that, we would basically work with them to get the amount of detail officers they feel sufficient to do this work. We also have a vendor we use called Busy Flash. So if we went the detour route, we'd have them something with whatever the town has offered. We could come in and put up signage beforehand to make sure that like all the traffic direction is very clearly marked for everybody, so there's no confusion. But I think Lieutenant Peach said if he thinks 3, it might be, might be do the job, but we can discuss further and make sure that you guys are comfortable with it.
Any questions
No,
on the board?
sounds like fun.
Well, I just want to know how the maple syrup is going to be cleaned up.
So-
Yeah, me too.
So that's actually,
I
that
was
was
gonna
actually
say
brought
that right
up.
when you said it.
So we're basically going to, the fire department, I think, is either gonna help us connect to it, or maybe the DPW would help us connect to a spigot, and we basically spray, it's not gonna be real maple syrup. It'll be-
That was the
It'll
next
be some sort of
question.
thing that looks like it, but easy to, not as sticky and not as messy. So, and for the sake of being able to do it again, they have to be able to clean it up, because basically, it has to, if we reset it and try to do it again, they have to
Yeah.
make sure it looks like we never did it in the first
Right.
place. So it has to be somewhat clean up.
Movie magic.
Movie magic, yeah.
And one of the things I got to say before was, I didn't know about Super Troopers, before, but I mentioned it to my daughter because I met the guys at the
Yeah.
Hart Library. And, so I mentioned it to her and she goes, oh yeah, Ma, that's like slapstick. Well, I never heard of it, but she did and she's seen both of them. So hopefully number 3 is good and Townsend will be part of it.
Yeah.
So I don't think this requires a vote. Does
It's
it?
just- I think it's just good to know
Just
that.
an informational thing?
Yeah,
to put
I'll
out?
check as far as if we end up shutting down a state route, whether or not there's any state notification
Okay,
as part of that, our obligation there, but I can have that done by whoever works the detail to sort that out, because I'm also kind of up in the air as to whether or not it will be shut down,
Mhm.
and if so, how long, and where that reasonable line is. So if there's any notifications on the state level, we will take care of that piece.
I have a question.
Kelly?
Who determines whether or not it will maintain the Cherry Hill name? Because that would be great for Townsend,
Yes.
because people might want to come. There's Cherry Hill,
Right, so there's
Where?
been some internal debate, so basically, that's one of the requests from the Shepherds, is that they do have incorporated in some fashion, they do understand that we're technically changing from an ice cream store to a truck stop.
Right.
So we've pushed up the chain to our department about keeping the name, but incorporating, like, calling it like Cherry Hill Truck Stop or something along the lines. I haven't quite heard back yet, but we're trying to push for that, to preserve that element of the scene.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah. We don't get to do much that's fun at this board, so, thank you. Thank you for that.
Thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Okay, thanks for
Thank
being
you.
here.
And you can comment on it after, please switch it back to me. A lot of times I leave my hat in, it's shocking.
Okay, we are down to,
I appreciate it. I know that you have it.
3.1 is appoint Laura Schifrin to the Volunteer Board Coordination Committee, VBCC, effective 8/19/2025, until the review is determined to be completed by the select board. Is there a motion?
I make a motion to appoint Laura Shippen to the Volunteer Board Coordination Committee effective 8/19/2025 until the review is determined to be completed by the select board.
Second?
Okay, so just to reiterate, this was discussed at our last meeting to form this because of some issues with the forms that we have and the process that's not being completed. So we'll go on to the next motion and you'll see who else is participating. 3.2, appoint Harrison May.
But wait, we have to vote.
Oh, sorry. Okay. I was all excited about getting it over with. Any further discussion on 3.1?
No.
Okay, roll call vote.
Veronica Kell, aye.
Lauren Goodrich, aye.
And Laura Schifrin, aye. 3.2, appoint Harrison Mayotte to the Volunteer Board Coordination Committee, VBCC, effective 8/19/2025, per makeup of the created VBCC until review is determined to be completed by the select board.
Why do we have those words in there? Why not just have the same as what we had for you for the motion?
I don't know, but I mean, it was the last board meeting that created a select board member, the town clerk.
Okay, I see the 3-4 is the same, so just go with it.
Okay.
Move that we appoint Harrison Mayotte to the Volunteer Board Coordination Committee effective 8/19/2025 for makeup of the created VBCC until a review is determined to be completed by the select board.
Second?
Any discussion?
Nope.
Hearing none, roll call.
Veronica Cal, aye.
Valerie Goodrich, aye.
And Laura Schifrin, aye. 3.3 is going to be moved to September 2nd meeting. There was an issue with the, dates on the posting for the position. 3.4, appoint James Dorian to the Volunteer Board Coordination Committee, VBCC, effective August 19th, 2025. Per the makeup of created by the VBCC until review is determined to be completed by the select board.
She's gonna do so moved.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? No. Roll call.
Veronica Cal, aye.
Valerie Goodrich, aye.
Laura Schifrin, aye. 3.5, appoint Vicki Tidman as the Board of Assessors representative to the Townsend Town Properties Committee until June 30th, 2026. Is there a motion?
I move that we appoint Vicki Tidman as the Board of Assessors representative to the Townsend Town Properties Committee until 6/30/2026.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call.
Veronica Cal, aye.
Valerie Goodrich, aye.
And Laura Schifrin, aye. 4.1, review of open meeting law complaint, alleged violation, July 1st, 2025.
Town council did, get back to us, so,
I don't have it in SharePoint.
It is in SharePoint.
Yeah, I
It
read
was
them.
there this afternoon.
I read
I
them in the middle
don't
of the
know
night.
that it was there earlier. I don't know when it got put in there, but it was there this afternoon.
we put it in there about 9:15 this morning. So, town council has drafted up
You don't have access?
Hold on 1 second. Goodness, let me try. 4.1, the 7/1/2025 one. Ah, there it is. Just had to try it again.
Okay, so I do know that, Sam did draft answers to that one, as well as to others. And what we have is we have them, but they are still subject to final comments and review from, Adam, town council.
They are?
Well, that's what I have on here.
he's gonna give it a once over, but you guys should also review, the draft responses, and if there's any, comments or issues, we will incorporate that into the final version.
Okay, I responded to Sam on all three.
I didn't respond. I thought we were voting in this meeting. I was good with all three
Yeah, me too.
responses.
I just
Had
hadn't
no
seen this
problem.
first one. I had seen the other two.
The only thing this is a formatting thing. The first page seemed to be funky.
Yeah, it's just nothing on it.
Yeah, so I would want that fixed, but other than that, and mine were marked draft.
Yeah, they were all marked
All
out.
were marked draft. And, so I am good with all three of the responses, and I did read them.
I'll entertain a motion to approve subject to, Attorney Costa's final.
Review.
All right, so are we taking these one at a time?
Up to you.
Yep.
I think we
Well,
should.
You should.
So is there a motion?
Yeah. I move that we approve the response for the open meeting law complaint alleged violation from July 1st, 2025, subject to review by town council.
And I will second that.
Okay, and we do, I have that in my packet, so it should be what you have in there.
Yeah. I just was missing the first one, but now I see it and it's,
Yeah, it's kind of, there are more than one because it's the thing that'll go, so.
actually, I looked at one thing before.
Okay. Any further discussion on that one?
1 second, I should 1 second for the last part. Because I reviewed the other ones first. Okay,
So that's 4.1. Yep. For July 1st. Hearing no other discussion? Roll call.
Veronica Cal, aye.
Valerie Goodrich, aye.
Laura Schiffern, aye. Thank you. And then the next one is number 2, May 23rd. Is there a motion?
I move that we, review the open meeting law complaint alleged violation, or approve the open meeting law complaint alleged violation response for May 23rd, 2025,
Subject to.
subject to review by town council.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Veronica Cal, aye.
Valerie Goodrich, aye.
Laura Schiffern, aye. 4.3, May 13th. Is there a motion?
Move that the select board approve the open meeting law complaint alleged violation response from May 13th, 2025, subject to town council approval. Review, sorry.
And I will second that.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Veronica Cal, aye.
Valerie Goodrich, aye.
And Laura Schiffern, aye. Thank you. Okay, we're not doing 4.4 yet, so we're gonna move over and go to 4.3.
4.5.
Excuse me, 4.5. Discuss on-call public relations services.
So I did reach out to Capital Strategic Solutions. They do provide public relations services, and I think the one that the select board is most interested in hearing about is on-call services. So as needed, if an issue were to come up, we would work with CSS to come up with a response, either a press release or something on the website, putting it on social media somewhere. So I did speak to the team over there, and they did provide us with a quote, which I've put on SharePoint. And their on-call services is at an hourly rate of $165 an hour. So there's really nothing to necessarily vote on or agree on at the moment. It's just informational purposes.
I think there's something to vote on.
Okay.
I mean,
Discussion.
I would want to engage them as our,
As needed.
as needed, yeah.
Okay.
I trust CSS. Have they given you references? When we hired them for ARP, I did call their references because I wasn't familiar with them. I don't know if we need that now because we have used them for the past 4 years anyway.
Their quote does have 2 pages of references. So
And we're one of them, by the way.
we are.
I am.
They reference Pepperell as well.
Yeah.
And a bunch of other communities.
Oh.
So if need be, we can certainly call them up. I didn't realize Pepperell used them as well. So
I am comfortable with them. I don't need to do that, but I don't know about you guys.
We'd have to still, for the board, approve each usage
Yeah, but
and how it would be funded
yeah, but we do have some funds in there
in
the budget for professional services, correct?
Yeah,
Excuse me, I can't hear you. Uh, Are you sure you're not? I can hear you now. Thank you.
I can't hear you. I mean, hardly I can barely hear you.
Okay, I can hear you again. Thank you.
Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Is that better?
Look at my notes.
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear now. Thank you.
Okay, was this way since we started the meeting, or did it just happen?
It just happened, just for a few seconds,
Okay.
when Veronica was speaking. My apologies.
Okay, all right. No, thank you for letting us know. Veronica, can I ask, I don't have any experience with this, so, and I don't know if you can say, but when has the town used it prior?
The town hasn't.
Oh, we
Is
have
what
not
I'm
yet
saying.
used it,
That is correct.
but you
At least not
investigated
in my
the use of it.
lifetime.
Okay,
But I would want, we use CSS for ARPA. That's how I'm familiar with CSS, and that's why we're on there as a reference, because
Okay.
we're a town that has used their services.
okay,
So I just would like Nelson to be able to say, this has happened. I just got a phone call from whomever, and Channel 5 wants a statement from the town. And sometimes it might be okay to say no comment, but at other times it might be good to have a comment. And
I don't know if I'd feel comfortable though with them coming up with a comment without us reviewing it.
that
for
I'm
sure.
good with, but I'm
sure.
good
And
with
legal,
that,
too.
and we can call an
Yeah, for
emergency
sure.
meeting to review.
yeah.
Or
I'd rather have a professional myself, and then.
Because a lot of this stuff will also need legal review, so I imagine
Yep.
the fees rake up pretty quickly. If they have to also run it by council.
I would rather have the fees.
Oh, yeah,
Then,
we could.
than have a statement made that puts the town in a
Risk.
bad position.
Absolutely.
Not that I think Nelson would do that, but I just think that it would be good to have this.
So just to clarify, when you said that you know of this because of ARPA funds, it was only that it was set aside during that time? This
No,
amount
I
of
know of
money?
CSS because we use them as a consulting company for both the CVRLX
Oh, okay.
funds and for ARPA.
Okay.
We have never used them for PR work,
Okay,
which is why calling a reference or two might not be a bad idea. Because on that reference list, it says what the municipality used them for. But it is an on-call service, will only be billed for actual hours worked on assignments
Right.
authorized by the town at an hourly rate of $165. There is no minimum usage requirement, and the town retains complete discretion over the frequency and scope of assignments.
could I have a motion subject to references? Veronica?
I can make the motion, it's fine.
Okay.
You're still gonna have a little more discussion though?
Yeah,
okay.
we can do that.
I move that we approve the use of, what is their actual name? Capital Strategic Solutions.
Yes.
As an on-call, public relations resource.
Second.
Discussion.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that, like, as I said previously, that no statements are going out without it being
I agree,
approved.
I agree.
absolutely.
I absolutely
Okay.
agree with that. But I think that if we wait 2 weeks or however long
No,
until our
that's
next, and that it could be too late.
Right.
Yep. And I guess then the other question would be, is there a point after which, if they say, okay, this is gonna take 10 hours, is there a point at which Nelson or someone has to come to us?
Oh, absolutely. I would think that Nelson is soon, I would imagine, when would you imagine letting us know that you had engaged them?
I mean, I would say right away, if I feel,
I would expect that.
if I feel like
Yeah.
it's something that, I'm not able to handle like comfortably, then I would first, speak to the board to see if we can talk to CSS, and then And then we would talk to CSS, see if they were able to assist us. And we have to give them some background information. They're not just expected to be able to
Of course.
prepare a statement.
So we would have to
some-
meet.
Yes, and meet
Beforehand,
with
too.
them, and we
That's
could
fine to
call,
discuss.
this would only be, this isn't an everyday thing.
Right,
I wouldn't imagine, so.
we hope not.
It is we.
And I think Nelson would let us know right away if anybody did call for comment.
Correct.
And there may be times where we just,
Yeah, that might be appropriate too.
majority even probably.
It depends, but yes.
That's fine. Just wanted to have it all out there.
I just think I would want to notify that, that I would welcome the opportunity to meet with you to discuss this proposal in detail. Do we want them to come in and do that? And explore how we can tailor our services to meet your needs. I mean, we could do that. We could schedule them they could Zoom in and give us a presentation on the 2nd, and we could hold the motion.
And maybe Nelson could do some research on who's used them before.
Yeah,
the
I'm
references.
good with that.
And then meet them.
So,
I withdraw the motion.
and I second the withdrawal, and we'll put this on the meeting
September
for the 2nd and ask Nicole, if they could, present, and we can, come up with our questions and ask further on that. And I'm okay with that. And Nelson, can you call a couple of them or, who have used them for things other than financials and reporting?
I would call at least 3. I would call until you've got a couple of references, because we haven't used them yet.
Well, if you get
Just
that,
like Townsend's on the list, you know, but we haven't used them yet. Well, we've used them for other things.
but the purpose is there, so,
Yeah,
Okay, I'll
Okay.
call around.
yeah.
4.6, discuss fiscal year 26 step and COLA increases for non-union employees.
So given the fact that the override didn't pass, we now need to look at salaries and wages for reductions. We are currently, we've met with the union once already to sort of have a kickoff meeting, and we'll discuss that in executive session tonight. But there are additional reductions that we would need from non-union employees. And they fall under the personnel policies and procedures policy, if you will. So they're non-union. They could be anywhere from a part-time, fractional, or a full-time employee. And you know, the step in COLA is subject to select board approval. So I think in order to get to the necessary reductions that we would need across the board, I think the proposal is effective September 1st, that non-union employees, you know, that are under the personnel policy and procedures, that they would revert back to their FY25 rate. So everyone got their increases on July 1st, but the proposal is for them to revert back to their FY25 rate.
I
None
have a
of the
question
library
about that.
staff got their increases.
Yeah, they didn't get theirs.
So why did any non-union person get their increases on July 1st? Because we didn't know.
Because the override had it. So the reason the library didn't get them is because that's what the trustees have voted for.
Okay,
And they have control over that part of their budget, so.
well, I had asked for the wage matrix with the COLA applied for fiscal year 2026. Do we have that?
Yes, it is on SharePoint.
Where? Mine says this folder is empty.
Oh, maybe I put it in the, executive session folder. Sorry.
And I wanted a list of all the non-union employees. Because what I would like, and this is why I'm asking for this, there was a lot of work that went into getting a single wage matrix for clerical supervisors and highway. And so with what we're doing, I would expect that the COLA would be applied to the wage matrix. And that if in fact we agree not to give COLA and STEP to the people who are non-union, they would need to have a new employee action form put in place with the STEP on the FY26 matrix that their pay represents. So for some people, this will be a step back. In other words, if you're a 10, you are no longer a 10 because a 10 has a 4% increase. You would actually be, I think, 2 steps back. So you would be reclassed as a step 8. And your salary would stay the same as it was in FY25, but you would be on the same wage and class matrix, because we don't know where things are going to go with the unions, but there should be one and only one matrix. I would not want to see the town having 3 different wage matrix. That makes absolutely no sense, or 4. One for each union and one for, or we are back to where we were in 2018. And that would not be ideal. So.
Kelly, I have some input on that, if you don't mind.
Do you want to come to the table, Kelly?
No, I'm fine here. I think versus altering the current matrix to reflect those changes, because it may be difficult to get it back to where it was and work so hard to get.
No, the matrix itself will be exactly where it should be.
Okay, I thought you were suggesting changing reclassifying employees.
Yes, absolutely. Changing them from a step 10 to a step 8 to reflect their actual pay. They're non-union.
Right. That changes a lot of things with job descriptions and a whole lot of things. The other alternative would be to.
How does it change job descriptions? The I'm not saying go to a different, if you're in a different row. Right, no, you stay in the same row. It's just that the only place it might be is if you're in the first step. Mm-hmm. That might be a little bit hard.
Or the last step, I suppose.
The last step is fine because you're just going to move backwards.
Yeah.
It's only if you're on the first step that there might be an issue. But I don't know how many people that really affects. Maybe the new assistant town clerk, but that person is in the union and we have to see how that rolls out.
Right. I'm just going to offer the alternative. So the alternative would be to leave everyone classified as they are now, and using the same matrix, which I thought originally you were suggesting to change, and then disclosing that between September 1st to whenever through which this goes, the salaries, the wages would be frozen at FY25 during that time, so that you don't have to make a new matrix. You can.
Well, some people are. Actually, everybody right now is on the FY26 matrix with the exception of the library.
Right, so, but you can make a separate declaration that you're retracting to FY25 wages between certain times, and then at which point.
And then it's only for certain people. And what if, we don't know what the unions are going to come out with yet. That doesn't help. It means that we're working with 2 different matrices. We're working with one that has the COLA in it, and we're working with one that doesn't have the COLA in it. And it depends on who you are or what position you're in, not really who you are, what position you're in, what scale you're on, and I'm trying to avoid that.
Well, would they be the same across the board? So, I mean,
No.
a decision will be made whether or not.
No,
I guess, but if the union,
not
the
necessarily.
union negotiations may mean that it's different.
We don't know.
So, I mean, what we,
So, I thought the decision would either be 2% COLA increase across the board or 0 increase.
We
across
don't
the
get
board.
to pick that as the select
That's-
So there
board.
could be.
That's
some
the-
people
That's the part of
That's
the
the
negotiations.
union's decision. It's not ours. We can suggest, but we can't mandate. So,
Which is what
Yeah.
happened.
The other point I feel I should make is that if we are to give 2 weeks notice, I don't have the policy in front of me, so I'm not sure what the regular town policies, whether or not that's required, but if so, then we're past that window. Yesterday would have been 2 weeks.
then it's the
Um,
next pay
So you
period.
have to
I
do it the
don't,
next Monday.
Well,
I'm not sure if that, I'm not sure if a change like that requires a 2-week notice. I mean,
You would want to do it on a pay period. You wouldn't want to do it outside of the pay period because then you have 2 different rates within the same pay period, which could be an issue for those doing payroll.
Yeah.
So you
I
would
mean, that-
want to do it on a
That's
payroll
doable if
bound.
you had to do that, but it is more work.
I agree. September 1st is just, it's nice and clean. I know it's actually a holiday and it could be between pay periods. So I'm wondering what's the easiest way, short of just, voting on September 1st being the date that it would be effective.
Is that a pay period
how-
bound?
The beginning of that pay
That's
period.
it.
September
Pay
1st
period
is the
starts on
beginning.
31st, right?
Okay.
The new pay
Then
period
that's when
starts
we
on
wanna
the
do it.
31st.
How many personnel are we talking about if the library's out of the picture? Because they've already, essentially, they've done what they need to
Do
do.
we have that list?
It's every other department.
Well, no, but non-union.
Yeah, I've been,
Do we
So
have a
many of them
list
are
of
union.
non-union? Can we generate that?
yeah, I have that list.
Can you screen share that?
Sure.
I think we have something, or a question or something over there.
I don't know if you take any comments.
All right, now let him.
Hartley, can you give me screen sharing privileges? Oh, I got it. Thank you. Let's see if I can make that bigger. So this is a report that, oh, there we go. Let me see here.
These are all the non-union.
Yeah, some of them don't really apply, so I put an X here. One second. Okay, let me see, let me filter it, so. Before we begin, there are some folks that I feel, probably should be excluded from this. The recycling center.
Turn that off, please.
I'm trying to.
Okay.
The recycling center has, some staff there. They're called recycling center attendants. I feel like they should be exempt from this, so to speak, because they are paid for through a revolving fund. So they're not in the general
Oh,
fund.
right.
So, whatever savings we gain from that, it won't translate to the general fund, so there's really, I guess, no point in making those changes. So the recycling center would be one. The summer help and recreation, I think they're pretty much done anyways, but in case there's stragglers, between now and.
That's a revolving fund also.
Correct, yep. Let me see. There's some interns in the water department. I don't.
Water department doesn't
But that's,
apply to us.
it's, right, it's not general fund.
What about in the cemetery and parks?
They would be part of that. They would be. There's two staff in the police department. I think the chief is working on not filling a vacancy or not hiring for a police recruit. So I think if we did that, then, the staff there wouldn't be subject to
All of public safety.
no, not the moment. There's no one else, I think, in public safety that would be non-union. That would be a part.
Contract,
What's that?
contracted employees.
No, there aren't contract employees, they're on call.
No,
And they're-
I mean, with the personal services contract.
Oh, PSA,
No, well, we're not talking about personal
Okay.
service contract
Just
right
make
now.
sure we're
we're just
clarifying
looking
what we're
at
talking about.
Yep. So, other than that, I think everyone else would be subject to this rollback, if you will, to the FY25.
And is that
Except
current?
for, yes, it is. Yeah, except for the library, obviously, that we had discussed.
So what is that number? Did you get that number of what that would be on the rollback for those?
Yes, let me see if I have those numbers here.
And can you put this in SharePoint after the meeting?
Sure. Yeah. Let me see here. So by my calculations, if we made this effective September 1st, it's roughly about $8,400 in savings.
8,400 or 84,000?
No, 8,400. I wish it was 84,000. But our folks don't make a ton of money, so.
Okay.
So that's just, one piece of the roughly $258,000 that we need to come up with in savings. But I think this is a good first step. It will certainly show the unions that the select board is in good faith making reductions elsewhere so that they're not the only one shouldering, the reductions.
I want to add another exception. Paul Kraft, facility maintenance, his hours were already cut in half.
He is
And,
part of the calculations. That
I would not want to subject him also to a wage decrease. I don't know how everybody else feels, but we already cut the hours for that. And so.
Is he in town hall or is that the library?
It's everything.
He cleans
He's
the
everything?
buildings, and he's only cleaning 2 days a week now instead
We'll get to that in my department first.
Yeah. So I would not want to cut the pay for someone whose hours we already cut prior to the override vote. We did that to get the override down to the minimum that we needed, and I wouldn't want to cut his salary as well. I just don't think that's fair, and we don't want to lose a cleaner when we only have a minimum amount being done anyway. That's my thought.
And facilities is already down to.
Yeah, I know.
So just Paul.
What was the number of employees for the non-union subject to the plan?
The total number,
So,
subject to.
so you exclude Paul, it's 24 staff members.
That's excluding library,
Correct.
Excluding the library.
which is like 12, so.
And some of these folks are probably,
Is that excluding police?
I think so.
yes, correct.
I think almost originally.
So that would be the list.
Can you scroll it back up?
This is as the whole.
Oh, I thought there were people from building on there and a few of those,
They have a stipend, but that stipend does not, go up every year. It's just a fixed amount.
but some of them did go up this year. In fact, most of them did.
Yes.
Yes.
For the inspectors, no, that stayed static. If you look at the building department budget,
Okay.
yeah, it's just,
It's in the building department, just the ones in the building department.
correct, yeah, it's just, they get like $129. Some get,
And are we grouping the highway with everything else in highway? Is that why they're excluded too? Yeah.
yeah, highway is in the,
Separate.
they're
In the
in the
union.
highway union.
Okay.
Yeah. Or, well, there's multiple people in the highway department and multiple.
Well, look at the tree warden. Is the tree warden on there?
Yes, he's the second to last one. Natalie Call is also part of it,
Right.
Mary Letourneau,
Okay.
Callie, Sabrina. So,
So that counts all of them reducing.
correct.
So can we see the, once everybody's done looking at this, I'd like to see the matrices for FY 25 and 26. We could screen share those.
Sure. 1 second.
And outside of that, besides the unions who we started to negotiate with, what else can we cut from personnel?
There's 2 personal services contract that's pending mine, that's later tonight, the executive session, and Melissa, the treasurer collector, which you guys had an initial meeting, I think, last meeting. Still working out some details, so that's still TBD. Besides union, non-union personal services contract, that covers all employees, so that's it.
Okay, so if you were step 4 on fiscal year 25, there's rounding errors that should be accounted for.
They're
There's
off by a
pennies off.
penny. I believe they're always typically off by a penny at most, and that is a rounding thing. So
Yes,
let me
it
just do some
So
satisfying.
something should be fixed with that.
So, so I've actually seen certain towns go 3 or 4 decimal places, like, so that way it's like kind of to the exact penny. Because, a penny over the course of a year, while it's not a lot, it's a couple bucks maybe, I don't know what the math is.
But it makes the scale funky. So I wouldn't do 3 or 4, I would just, fix it. Which means maybe looking at it manually, but
Because some of them are off and some of them are not off.
that
So I
is
think
correct.
they're probably calculated by 4 digits, maybe 6 digits. decimals, I'm sorry.
I would stick with 2 decimal places.
I think that would be wise.
And I would make them consistent across the fiscal years.
Mm-hmm.
But that's neither here nor there. Go back to where you were with the, with the 2 digits. So if you were in fiscal year, if you were grade A, step 4 for 1449 in fiscal year 25. In fiscal year 26, you would be grade A, step 3.
The same way.
Looks like they're all one step.
So it
Yeah.
steps you back 1. And
Yeah, when you look at it that way, sure. I don't know, I think we won't know how to sort of, maybe do this matrix until the dust is settled with everybody, to your
well,
point.
the dust needs to settle by September 1st, if that's when we are doing it.
Well, but to your point, you wanted one matrix.
I do.
This matrix is, this covers everybody, union and non-union folks, so we would need to,
But then what happens in fiscal year 27? Are some people still on the fiscal year 25 scale? Where if you just changed their step, everybody would be on the same scale and they could advance 1, or if we had a godsend of money, 2 to get them back to where they were. But,
Don't we have to wait for the union negotiations for that?
no, we don't have to wait for the union negotiations. It doesn't matter. It doesn't
We can
matter.
step back.
But that,
I don't know.
I guess we
I mean-
could, if all unions agreed to everything,
We don't know
could
yet,
just
so
be
that's what
fiscal
I'm
year
saying.
25. We could do that.
I'm saying, are we just,
And make it
Are we-
fiscal year 26. We could do that. We could call the fiscal year 25 matrix fiscal year 26. Another option would be to rename fiscal year 25 fiscal year 26 and up everybody's step. If in fact there is no agreement on no step, no COLA,
so,
which might be the better way to do
so
it.
yeah, I guess the question is like voting for the non-union change versus the matrix change, is it 2 separate things?
I think they are, because,
You understand what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying, but I don't know that if I want to vote them separately.
But we can't do this until union negotiations are done, right? I think Callie's getting something.
I haven't really thought about it too much. I think I would like the option that's the least confusing to people, so that,
Then let's rename FY 25, FY 26, and keep people where they are. Because, or bump them up. If they're taking the step in the COLA, bump them up a couple steps. I don't know if that's better. I just know that there was an awful lot of time spent in the summer of 21 going from the old matrix to the new matrix and all the many matrices that existed and trying to make it so that everything was consistent. And by doing 2 matrices with different people, they could even be in the same union and have 2 different matrices. I think it's a mistake.
If, I'm sorry, Mayor, if it's determined that some people don't get the COLA or the step increase, and some people just get the step increase, that would be 2 matrices. There's no way around that. I think the easiest way to do this,
I
is
disagree
to
with
leave
that.
it as it is and to make a declaration that, say you're step 5, right, D5 right now, fiscal year 26. The declaration would be that between September, whatever, until whenever, the salary's been, your increase has been retracted to FY 25 rates during that duration, and then after which it would revert to, I hope it would go back to
No,
what
it
we
won't.
would expect FY 27 rates to be.
Not necessarily, because we won't have the funds unless there's an override that allows that to happen. We don't even know if we'll have the funds to go forward a step in fiscal year 27. We don't know.
Oh, so this
I-
is indefinite then. So that,
I mean, it's just the nature of the business and how towns are funded.
Yeah, I think for the non-union folks, the step in COLA is not, it's not guaranteed like in the union contract, because it's a contract. When you're non-union and you have a personnel, under the personnel policies, that's sort of subject to appropriation theoretically, and, but, the select board certainly vote and approve it, but I think that's where the distinction comes into play. You can't necessarily count on a step and a COLA if you're not in the union.
Yeah, because isn't it in personnel policies based on reviews as well?
it's supposed to be,
Yeah.
but it just sort of happens. And so the 2% step is supposed to be based on performance. I would
Right, that's
highly
what I thought.
advise the town not to make a decision as far as which increases they get or don't get based on whether they're union or not, because that creates an inequitable situation, and that's a legal issue. But, I mean, you base it on the rules or whatever it is that you're basing it on, but I wouldn't base it on that specifically.
I would adopt the FY 26 matrix and put everybody where they are on that matrix as far as their pay goes. I wouldn't go with two matrices where some people have, this until this date, and then we'll see the next date. And you adopt the FY 26 and you put everybody on it based on what their pay is, whatever that step is. That's what I think. And if in fact it's illegal to make a decision on non-union employees,
Well, not individually, because like you said,
Yeah.
like Laura said, that is their town's right to determine whether or not they get those raises. But I'm just saying, if it's a blanket decision based on that one determining factor, that could pose a problem. I mean, maybe it's a question for legal.
Town Labor Council said, we can make this decision,
Okay.
as well, the select board can make that decision. Halting or stepping back the step increase in COLA for non-union personnel.
Yeah. I mean, I can understand Veronica's point about the matrix and having one. I do wonder if it's a slightly separate issue than the no COLA, no step, and see where the union negotiations play out and then come back to the matrix.
I'm okay with that if we wait to enact it until after there's a decision from the unions. I'm okay with that.
I mean, there is,
And you get to be there next week.
The sooner we make changes for things that we can make changes to without, involving the unions, the better we are financially, because those savings are, they'll be in 2 weeks' time. Whereas the union, we're estimating October 1st is really the earliest we can make those changes. to their
Mhm.
contract, whatever we end up agreeing on, if we, even get to that point. So.
It'll probably take at least that, 15 years.
So the quicker we can make changes, the more savings we will get.
But I wouldn't want to make a mistake either. I wouldn't want to make a mistake.
I guess the question is like, and I'm not saying we're all in agreement, but rolling back COLA for non-union employees is what we're proposing.
COLA and
That
stipend.
for non-union employees.
Oh,
And then the how with regards to matrix is secondary. Technically. Right? I know it creates this gap, right? But that's not a permanent gap. We can, am I correct? That do they like,
I mean, we can work with however many matrices there are. It's
not
much
permanently,
simpler-
not
It
permanently.
is much simpler to work with one, as Veronica has stated. I
Absolutely.
don't know how we have one if we have some people have 2% and some people have 4%, though, unless we use the one and further maybe delineate what the different.
You just change the step. I mean, let me pick one that has a number that's the same. That's kind of hard to do when it's this way. But in any event, if you're step 5 on FY25 and you're making 1479,
Mhm.
for FY26, you're at step 4, making 1478.
Well, if you make 2%, you'll be at step 4 fiscal year 26.
I'm sorry, say that again?
If you got,
You're at in fiscal year 25, if you were, what was the example?
If you were at step 5 and you were making 1479, you are still making 1479 in FY26, but you will be at step 4. Even though it says 1478 there, which is a little mind-boggling, but
With 2%, you would be at step 5. With 0%, you would be at step 4, yes.
and that's what
But
we're
that's
talking
what we're
about.
talking
No
about.
COLA, no
No
step.
COLA, no
Right,
step.
but
So
my fear is that if we recategorize and move everyone down, isn't that how we got into trouble before? I mean, I wasn't even here when this happened, but as I hear it, there's a whole lot of work to bring this matrix up to where it should be with the salaries. And I think that was a lot of work that went into that with.
Well, there was a
Collins.
Collins Center,
Yeah.
and yes, and,
So how do we get back to where we're supposed to be? It would be the same problem.
no, it wouldn't. It would just be that that's what you're making. It doesn't matter whether it's on an FY25 at step 5 or an FY26 at step 4. It's the amount you're making. It's 1479. And it keeps everybody on the same wage matrix. Now, where it gets in trouble, it doesn't matter which matrix it is if a study is done and you find out that you're not making what the people in the other towns are making for the position that you hold. And that's why the whole Collins thing was done to begin with, was to get everybody up to snuff. But the town is not willing to pay the employees
For up to snuff.
But I would want us on the same matrix.
I get what you're saying. I think I'm just stuck on the fact that like when we put out the vacancy postings, we put out, we're hiring, B4, you know what I mean? And then they come here.
No, I don't think they do. Usually we do, don't we do a range?
A range.
A dollar
It has the
range?
grade and step.
Yeah, it does, but you don't necessarily,
I
With the
just don't
step.
know what the legality is as far as once you say they're on a certain step. But I see what you're saying, like fundamentally, we can just use this grid right here and just say, well, now your rate is, but that's sort of where the declaration comes into play.
I mean, I guess I'm okay with picking and saying that, knowing that we may have to revisit it when the union negotiations are done, if.
I'm not the one who has to figure out who's paying who on what scale for how long.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, have one scale, pay people where they are. the amount is what the amount is, regardless of the scale, but you are invariably gonna wind up, or inevitably, someone is gonna be put on the wrong matrix, making the wrong amount, and that causes bigger problems.
So what about
That's
if we,
why I wanna keep it like it is.
so, yeah.
And no, I'm not, I mean that, I mean,
No.
keep it as it is and make the declaration that between this date and this date, your wage is based on fiscal year 25.
But I guess the question is,
That's
we have no
without a total,
idea,
without a
we have
step.
no idea what will happen next year.
Actually, no, that's not true, it wouldn't be, because that would be 2% if it was the same step.
Well, we don't know what may happen to this scale for this year, depending on how the union negotiations pan out.
The scale won't change. People might be at a different place on the scale, but the scale won't change.
Right.
People that get a COLA are gonna be, maybe their step doesn't change, nobody's step changes, but the COLA is enacted. You'll be at the right place in the fiscal year 26 matrix. We just have to make the match as far as the pennies go, but besides that, that's, to me, it makes more sense. It has everybody on the same scale. Your step might change, and there might be somebody that says, oh, I was a step 4 and now I'm a step 3, but your pay doesn't change.
And you have more room to grow.
Well, maybe it's step
You do have more
3A
room
and
to
3B or
grow.
something,
That's
you know what I
true.
mean?
You know, I think it's gonna get really confusing. That's what I think. And I think you can fix it just by reclassing people by their step to make it match their pay. We did that when we did it before. People's steps changed all over the place.
I guess the other trick too that we can consider is like if in a month this all, for some reason that we aren't foreseeing is getting messed up, we can revisit it at that point in time. You know what I mean? If,
Yeah, nothing's set in
Yeah, I mean, I
stone.
can work with any matrix, but, or
if there's
several. I'd rather
something
not
that we
work with
failed to
several,
see
but
or
like
that
she
fails to
said.
come up during the union negotiations, et cetera, et cetera. There's no reason we can't.
I think we
Because
were
if we have
probably saying the same thing, it's just that I think her idea is to combine 25 and 26 and then determine who is where on that. So maybe we have step, you know, maybe it's grade
I'm not
B step.
combining them. I'm just putting someone on the scale at the place that they are.
Right,
It keeps our wage matrix moving forward. And you want your wage matrix to move forward. Maybe your steps need to be adjusted down the line. So someone that's at a 3 maybe should be at a 5. And you can do that down the line, but you've already applied the COLA and you've kept it up to, you know, where everybody is economically in the region.
right, that's exactly what I'm trying to do too. What if we did like a B, step 3A,
No, why would
3B.
you do that?
because some people might have 2, some people might have 0.
Well, if you're 0, you're just one step down.
Well,
Because it's
just
2%
psychologically, you
in
don't have to take
between
a step
each of
down,
them,
and
it's
that's all.
2%.
I'm just thinking of the way that sounds to people is going to be.
Okay.
But
All right,
the numbers are all the same, I mean, those numbers don't change.
I guess we need to vote go on the no poll and no step for non-union employees.
Is there a motion?
I move that we institute no step and no COLA increases for non-union employees and adjust the FY 26
with the exception of anyone who's funded through a revolving fund, anyone that's in public safety, and the facilities maintenance position, which has already been decreased in hours.
You okay with the amendment? Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
Yes, I think, were you supposed to include summer with, water insurance and summer
Yeah.
rec into that.
Well, they're revolving funds.
They're revolving, so that's a new amendment.
Did you put an effective date?
Are we saying it's effective September 1st?
Or August 31st.
August
today.
31st, if it's on a
August
pay,
31st.
if August 31st is the first day of the
Yes.
pay, then that's when it has to be effective.
August 31st.
Okay, motion's amended twice, last one being to August 31st. Any further discussion?
Do you need me to second it?
Yes,
Second.
any further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call.
Veronica Kell, yes.
Good, yes.
And Laura Schiffern, yes. Thank you very much.
I will
I didn't
work,
write down the motion, but I'll pull it from the thing.
I'll work with payroll now to, get all the EAFs, the employee action forms for those folks for, August 31st, effective date.
Okay, and then you will have a report, to talk about that, plus maybe a little bit more on the 28th to the unions, because we've just voted that.
Correct, yep.
And actually, if you're gonna do that, they're on the FY '26 scale now. So you'll just back them up the step and it might be a moot point.
Well, depending on what we agree on, yes, possibly.
I just think going to 2 scales is a big mistake.
I can appreciate that, 100%.
I agree.
If at all possible, not doing that again.
I just make sure that the scales match in pennies. That's all.
Yeah, that's something I'll talk to payroll on, because like I said, I've been in communities where they go 3 or 4 decimal places. And I did the math, a penny, if you work 40 hours a week, it ends up being like $20.80.
Yeah, but
So-
over the years, if you have that, it winds up that you have people at the same step making different rates.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah, so I'll talk to payroll. I'm not sure how the penny rounding, they accounted for that, so to speak, over the years, but it's always only no more than a penny if it's off by anything. But, it's kind of all over the place, and, those pennies kind of follow.
Forever.
Yeah.
yes, they do.
So I'll talk to payroll to see if they've developed the system, or maybe they're using 3 decimal places. Actually, I could have payroll.
That's okay.
I'm curious myself.
I don't think I took the roll call, did I, on that motion?
No, they only go to 2 decimal
Amended
places.
twice.
Sorry.
No, you
We voted, we did vote on that. Sometimes you don't, Lori, but that time you did.
4.7, discuss on-site full-time accountant.
Still waiting to hear back from everybody on the contract itself. With CBiz and town council, but I have done some research. There are a handful of towns in the Commonwealth that are currently looking either for a assistant town accountant or a full town accountant. And, the town accountants are, generally starting about 80,000, and then it goes up from there.
Up to about how much?
Maybe about 100,000. But some communities, their assistant town accountant is like in the $110,000 range. So that's very expensive, and we certainly could not afford that. But there are some communities where the assistant town accountant position is about $50,000 to $70,000.
But we're not looking for an assistant town accountant.
No,
We're looking
but-
for a town accountant.
Yeah, it's just a data point. I was researching
Okay.
it, so just to give me an idea to see, how were we, in terms
We
of,
were falling out.
yeah. So I think between 85 and 100,000 is probably a fair amount for a town accountant.
And our CBiz contract is set for,
90
90.
for the year.
Yeah.
So pretty I would say that's pretty reasonable. That's kind of the going rate for a town accountant nowadays.
So I guess the question is it worth posting for one and see what we get?
I think it's worth posting. I do. But I want to put a deadline on it. I don't want to have this forever thing. And I think we have CBIZ, what did we say, through October? So we agreed
Yeah,
to.
but we were hoping to have somebody like October 1st to overlap with them. If we don't have somebody, then they will extend to the end of the year. So
I just think that if we want to post, we should do that and see who we have. The other option is to wait to post until October. And let CBIZ finish out the year, start the new year, get things together, do
I mean, it
the,
might take a
Well,
month.
It might take a while is the
we
problem.
still want the overlap though.
well, yeah, so we would have the overlap, but we would have it farther out after we know how everything settles out.
Yeah.
That's the other thing to wait for.
I don't know what the job market is for, a town accountant. I think the earlier we started, that might give us some breathing room. I don't know if, the posting could be out there for a month and you get like two nipples.
Or
So
nothing.
if you start
Or more.
late, then you're
We
kind
don't
of,
know.
you're kind of just pushing things out. I think if we can, in the next couple weeks, work on a job description that we can all, review and agree on. Callie can post it on the various, methods that we have. Probably like a early September start date, posting.
Posting.
And then, you probably need to keep it open, I would say at least 2 weeks unless you get, a swath of, applicants. Then you gotta schedule them, meet as a group, probably have, first and second round interviews.
So we should do it.
So, you're really,
I'm good with posting. I just don't think,
No. I think we should post it and see what happens.
I do too.
Then we make our decision.
I think that if we,
And just for everybody, thinking, we're not paying for two people. We have so much money for an accountant, because I've heard this discussion. And we're not gonna be it has nothing to do with the hiring freeze, because we already are paying for an accountant.
Well, the hiring freeze
It
technically ended the
ended.
day of the override,
yeah,
technically.
and we don't have a freeze on
We can
right
meet
now.
two, but
It's being
In any event,
discussed.
let's post for an accountant, see what happens.
Okay.
I don't want an endless posting though.
Yeah,
I suggest that you post now, actually, because it's only 2 weeks difference between now and the
Yeah, right.
beginning of September, and we had the whole row an accountant. We still
don't we
didn't
already
any
have a job
takers,
description?
And you can slow the spigot also, so if you think there are too many applicants, just space out the interviews, or you can tell them in advance, look, we're really looking to hire in October. They also have to give notice, so I don't think it's too early to post.
no,
it.
I don't think so.
Okay.
But we do, if we don't, the question is, do we have a job description for the town?
full
accountant?
time.
We
Okay,
have one from Collins, yeah.
Okay, so
It hasn't been updated, so you might want to review it.
we'll take a look at it and we'll try to post, ASAP.
Okay.
But at most, probably a week and a half before we kind of, finalize the job description to be posted.
So we can look at it on the 2nd? Are we gonna approve the posting before it goes out? I would like to.
Why don't you just send to the board and put in SharePoint what you have?
We would have to
And we
vote
could-
it at a meeting on the 2nd.
If you choose to go that way, if you want to vote for it, then yeah, you would have to wait until the next meeting.
Or subject,
Or can't we vote on it
now.
now,
If it's a
subject to
full-
approval of the documents and the
Okay,
posting
we can do
going
that.
out?
Sure.
I'm good with that. Is there a motion?
And just to clarify, we're not saying we're gonna have two accountants.
No.
We're just saying that if we find someone for an on-site full-time accountant, that's our preference. we use using CVIS while we're figuring that out.
Correct.
Correct? Any
That's it.
clarification?
No.
Okay. I make a motion that we post for a full-time town accountant, subject to review of job description as soon as possible.
Second.
Any further discussion or amendments to that? Hearing none, roll call.
Veronica Kelly, yes.
Yes.
And Laura Schiffern, yes. Thank you. 4.8. Review, discuss proposal for town hall fire suppression project. Nelson?
So at town meeting, the voters, there was a capital, project article for this particular project, to replace the fire suppression system. So that capital project has been approved. And we got quotes, and the lowest bidder was Impact Fire. So my recommendation is that we accept their proposal and, sign the contract and have them start working on it, probably sometime early next month.
Has town council reviewed?
Not yet, so you can make it subject to town council review.
Is there a motion?
Nelson, is this number correct? 39,323.50?
Yes, that's what we have.
39,323.50, correct.
I make a motion that we approve the town hall fire suppression project as voted at town meeting for $39,323.50, subject to review by town council.
I will second that.
Did you say Impact Fire?
Oh,
Your
from
motion?
Impact Fire.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I don't always catch everything, but sometimes I do. There is a motion and a second.
The amount that capital planning approved, and that was approved at town meeting, was 40,000 for this project.
Correct.
So we're within that.
Yeah.
Correct.
So,
Okay, thank you. Hearing no other discussion, roll call.
Veronica Kelly, yes.
Yes.
And Laura Schiffern, yes. Thank you. .9. Review, discuss proposal for town hall painting and repair project. This is also from capital, right? Or it was a movement
It was
of
capital.
funds?
It was
Yeah,
capital. We ended up, repurposing, several old capital
Yeah.
articles, into one for $53,784.74. The quote is for $68,900.
Was there more than one quote? Is this the only quote?
No, we received multiple quotes, yes.
Okay.
But this is the low bidder.
Oh,
It actually is, Todd Arsenal's company here in town.
yeah, but 15,000 more than what we have.
Yeah, so, we will supplement it with, the facilities, budget. So the difference will come out of their
budget.
Their budget.
Is there a motion?
I move that we approve the contract from Arsenal and Sons for the town hall painting repair project. Money to come from capital and the facilities budget for an amount of $68,900.
Is there a second?
I will second that.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I want to make sure that all disclosures are on file that need to be on file.
Yeah.
I would want to know that the other bids are available somewhere for review.
Yeah.
Okay.
Subject to review of all disclosures and pending other bids available for review
Yeah, I
by
mean,
town
Just
council.
as a comparison.
yeah. Exactly.
Will do.
Did I second it already? Okay.
Well, you can second the amendment.
I'll second the amendment.
Yeah, because that was part of the discussion.
So Nelson, if you could reach out to Arsenal and make sure they file all the appropriate disclosures.
Will do.
And then report back on how that went.
We should vote.
Is that, because he is, on a board?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so,
And the town clerk can help.
Yep, I'll make sure to sort of get those
And
things.
Todd, he can also contact ethics and
Yeah.
yeah, you can
Make
say
say
sure
the ethics.
everything is all set.
tell them exactly which forms to fill out.
Understood.
Oh, we need to
We
make a
have to
vote.
vote.
Okay, you're set?
Yep.
Roll call vote,
Veronica Cal, yes.
Good at yes.
and Laura Schiffern, yes. Thank you. Always happy when, local business gets the vote. We just have to make sure it all gets done the right way, so
Mhm.
nobody's complaining.
Understood.
Okay, and, okay, 4.11, we're still about a half hour away, right? Fiscal, 26 select board goals for the town administrator. This is just an update, where are we? No, I don't have anything.
So I guess the
So,
two we're working with most are the financial and then the DPW are our first two, right?
Yeah, so I went through, we had named 4 primaries and 2 secondaries. I don't know that we voted on them.
Not yet.
And so what I did, and I put this in the SharePoint, it should be there now. And I'm gonna give you this, Nelson.
I have it in SharePoint.
Oh, you do?
Yep.
Good.
Can you put it on the screen? I don't have it.
The third one.
This one?
Nope. Yes, that one. That's the one. So what I did is I took the 4 and we haven't voted on them yet. So it was a little premature, but,
Please, thank you.
you know, if in fact these are the 4, this just gives you an idea of what I had in mind. Well, until he gets enough.
Sorry.
I'm gonna send this to you too, Nelson.
And
Because I have some DPW stuff that I'll send it to you.
didn't get stuff, yeah.
No, I'm gonna send something.
So, yeah,
Oh, wait.
I just put it
that's the
on.
one, that's the one that we discussed last time.
Sorry, wrong screen.
That's all right.
Too many windows open.
Nope. It's not in that way. Sorry, 1 second.
I have a question while we're waiting, about department head reports. I was looking at those today, and, there aren't very many. So I was wondering, like, when you were on the board before, what was your, experience, I guess, with getting the department head reports?
They were pretty much done every month,
From all of them?
pretty much, yeah.
Well,
There's a place in here if you,
oh
somewhere
yeah, I
on
did, I
SharePoint.
looked today, and that's why I'm questioning, because,
Should we put that with the TA update?
Yeah,
yes,
we
I'm
can
happy to
do
do
that.
that, if you're ready.
So what I did is back to the goals. So the ones that we had talked about, the primary goals were budget process. So what I wanted was what were the deliverables? What were we doing each month? Because they need to be measurable for review purposes. So, I just made these up.
Mhm.
So if in fact these are the goals that we vote, then we need to fill out the matrix and, Nelson, I would expect that you would be filling this out too. I mean, I just stuck stuff in there. But, so for budget process, designate the finance, so in September, what happens? Designate the finance team members and have an initial meeting. And then second, review the budget process and update of all policies. Review, and select, and selection of financial software. Is it ClearGov or whatever? And then present the town's financial status to the select board and the FinCom, because in December, then we roll out the budget memo to the departments, and then we get into the budget process. So I just took it that far. So that's number one. But for each of the goals, so if you just scroll up, and I only went till April because it's Q4 of the year that we do the review for the TA. So the DPW, restructuring of highways, cemetery and parks facilities, waste management, review the DLS report from 2016 or so, would be September. Then make a recommendation to the select board for how to proceed with that. To develop the steps needed to make things happen, to make the changes that we have in mind, or even to determine exactly what the changes should be, and then et cetera. Then the next one was regionalization of services. So maybe in September, it's discussions with Ashby and Pepperell for possible opportunities, and then identify to the select board what's possible, if anything. And then number 4 was the HR duties, human resources. How is that going to work? Work with CSS and the U.S. Treasury to get a response on the unexpended ARPA funds. Can we put them towards human resources, because that's how we reported it through December 2026, and then determine if it's an HR position or if it's HR consulting or what it is, et cetera, et cetera. And then our secondary goals were policies and communications. So that's just how, in my mind, I see things working. Because if we don't have, you need measurable goals for everything. You could write it up a different way, but this is just how my mind works. Someone else's might work differently and might be more clear.
So I guess then if we vote on our primary goals, right,
Mhm.
then the TA can come in and fill this out and we just have to approve that.
Yes, and, and review it.
For
And that's what I'm thinking. I don't know what anybody else is thinking.
Well, I mean, I'm fine voting on the primary and secondary goals and not the
Exactly. I
deliverables
wouldn't
until
vote on-
Nelson provides those to us.
Exactly. I agree. So, yeah, I'm good with that.
Do you want to make a motion? Is there a motion?
Yeah, I make a motion that we set the select board goals for FY 27 to be
26.
26. Sorry, I'm thinking budget FY 27 already. To be
We'll be there soon.
number 1. Can you just scroll up so I can make sure I get them right? To the budget process being number 1. Number 2 being restructuring of a DPW. And I have some materials I'll give to you, Nelson, that I had on that, and then you can incorporate them however you like. The third goal being exploring regionalization of services, and the fourth goal being evaluating human resources for FY 27. And then our secondary goals being to review policies and communications.
And I will second that.
Okay, any further discussion?
And I guess the discussion being like, whatever's in here is not set, it's just the goals that we're voting on.
Exactly. That's
Okay.
exactly right.
And then Nelson can come back to this.
Understood.
And these will be part of like an update at each meeting, or at the very least each month?
Well, we would have monthly deliverables,
Okay.
so to speak, or, where are we with this? It might have to be adjusted as time goes
Okay.
on. What we would define as deliverables or what Nelson would state might change because things happen and you don't know.
Just not to be forgotten.
Yeah, but if you don't ever write anything down,
Right.
nothing ever happens.
Right.
In
Right,
my mind.
okay.
So.
Any further discussion?
No, I think the only discussion is I think we had kind of said that Veronica was gonna work with Nelson on DPW and I'd work with Nelson on the finance part of it. Have we kind of said that?
I'm good with that.
I'm good with that. Whoever wants to
And I think
work on
the budget process will fit in with
the next topic.
the next topic too.
Yeah,
Because I
exactly.
think I have some thoughts on that stuff.
So yeah, so the goals, primary and secondary, the deliverables will come, we need to have those defined,
Okay,
but, yeah.
okay,
That's the job of the TA, so. Okay,
thank you. Roll call?
Veronica Cal, yes.
Geiger, Jess,
And Laura Schiffern, yes. Thank you.
and Nelson, I'll have to send you that information because I can't get it to upload right now.
Okay.
And you can run it.
Okay, 4.12, DLS Financial Management Review Discussion.
So it sounds like DLS is gonna be coming to Townsend to, do a financial management review. I don't think there's been a date scheduled yet.
The late fall,
I
you
can't
know, in that
remember,
last,
I
the
can't
last
remember,
email.
I can't remember if they actually gave a date.
I emailed him in August, I think, and I think he said late fall was, we were on the list of towns, and so that
Yeah.
was the estimate.
But just so for everyone's, it's just to provide some historical background, they've actually been here before. They last were here in May of 2011. It's a service that the Department of Local Services provides to any town that's requesting it. They'll come, they'll take a look at our financial sort of top to bottom and make recommendations off of that. And in the end, there's a report that they come up with a list of recommendations that, the town should look into implementing or changing. Everything that they suggest is voluntary. It's not mandatory at all. But they have a lot of experience in this area, so whatever suggestions or observations they might have is from many years of experience dealing with dozens and dozens of municipalities each year.
It looks like for me, just looking at some of this in here, that their recommendations have been followed.
For the
A
most.
lot of
I-
this has
yeah,
been
A lot
adopted.
of them, yeah.
I felt,
It's good.
I feel the same way too. They had, I think, a total of 19 recommendations last time they were here, and looking through it, we've done a lot of them. But it's funny, one of the recommendations is explore financial software options. I don't know if that's,
Yes, that one didn't happen.
No, it did happen.
Yeah.
Collins
But-
Center created that, but it was not used after fiscal year 2020,
And we did pay them 39,000.
something like that.
Or-
Yeah, I can't remember the dollar amount.
Yeah.
And
But
that
so,
software.
I mean, I look at
was not
any of this
used.
as just good information for all of us, especially with,
Oh, yeah.
with goal number one, to get everybody on the boat with the same, and to create that financial working group that's, the town administrator, member of select board, member of the finance committee, accountant, hopefully the superintendent in there sometimes.
I think
Because
we
that's
should-
a DLS best practice anyways, and I
Yeah.
think that's kind of fallen, because we've had so much transition, at least meeting quarterly with that core group of people. I mean, this is,
Mhm. No, I think it's a good thing. And I think it'll be interesting to see what they come back with. It is not, I think there are people that think, oh, it's a financial audit and they're gonna find some some errors that have happened and things that are terrible and people are gonna be carried out in handcuffs. I don't think people should get too excited about
No,
that
but
happening.
I hope they have good
Because
recommendations.
that's not the purpose.
Yeah,
I
they
look-
did before.
I really hope they have good recommendations,
no,
and I think,
they should. I mean, like I say, they do this all the time for municipalities, and they have a lot of experience, so they kind of know where weak spots are for each, city or town, once they looked at everything. And, again, they're just recommendations or suggestions. We can, follow as many of them as we want. Some of it does require money, so, it's not something that we can readily, enact, but, I think it's gonna be a really good educational experience, and they can, I think, provide some really.
And I
feedback.
think it'll be a chance for all of us to work together fiscally. To work with them, they'll talk to everybody, so
Well, they interviewed like 15 people the last time
at
in
least.
town, and I know them all.
And I think one of their takeaways, which I actually don't think will change, is just what our tax base is limited to.
Yeah.
And how 2.5
They
overrides
should.
generally
That's the
are not received well in Townsend, and how we need strong leadership to be fiscally responsible. I think that's kind of one of the main takeaways they had last time, and I kind of expect that'll be kind of the same this time.
Fiscal responsibility, I don't think there's been a lack of that.
No.
I think that what we have to look at is what we are looking at. We need to function with fewer employees.
And I think that goal number 2 and
That's the only
4,
way
2
we
and
can
3,
do it.
2 or 4 will help with that.
Yeah.
And if the select board isn't, I would hope that they would look at those goals, and I know we're working with Pepperell and Ashby and regional, and maybe they'll make a recommendation on that, even on some regional aspects of things.
That, or the tax base grows, or the state allows us to raise the tax rate over 2.5%, like they do for the schools. Otherwise, we'll always be in a hole, always. So,
See what happens. Yeah, Nelson, are they they'll reach out to you and everybody once we get started, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I believe so. I haven't heard anything from them
I
yet.
know there's also correspondence on possibly getting, there's some people who've offered to help with coordination of all this.
Only if we have an official committee.
Yeah.
I would not do it with people on the outside who are offering their services. That, there's a liability right there.
Yeah.
And so if there's a committee that needs to be formed, that's one thing. But if it's, I'm just gonna call you up and, and post things wherever, no.
So I guess then the question is if with regards, it relates to the first goal, do we want to form a budget committee for this year that would look at that first goal along with the DLS review, or do we want to wait and see?
As far as I'm concerned, this is me, I'm looking for, there it is. The budget committee is paid staff. It's Nelson, the assessor, the treasurer, the accountant.
So I think that's true. The DLS does recommend a meeting of quarterly. It's
School committee.
Yeah.
It's
FinCom, Select Board.
Select Board, School Committee, Town Administrator.
That is different from what is in the budget review, in my mind. That's different.
It's a
That's
financial
to talk
management
about,
review.
It's to talk about how we're gonna do it. What do you see as your increase? I'm worried about the schools.
And I wonder if they'll come back with this, because we just got the DLS, it was like the newsletter last week, I think it was, from them.
The tri-board, I think.
Yeah, and so it was basically recommending a quarterly meeting, even aside from the budget process.
Yes, that would be good.
So I would like to include that in our budget goal, to have that quarterly meeting of that
The school
tri-board.
committee,
The superintendent, the finance committee, a member from the select board, finance, school, with the town administrator and the accountant. That group together quarterly, so that we're all on the same page.
That's good. I'm good with that.
But I think it's in our budget documents now, budget process now.
Not loosely.
Yeah. But I guess I'm probably getting ahead of myself because we need to review the budget process in September and get that started, so.
Yeah.
I think this will play into that goal regularly.
I don't know where, I printed that page out from the DLS bulletin last week. It was a good suggestion.
And I mean, in that group, in that tri-board, the TA is the representative of the paid employees in that circumstance.
And that's okay, that's
Yeah.
different from
Yes,
the budget process. Yes, I agree with you.
Okay, should we start our work session and then when the chief,
he was just
He's
here.
yeah, he's discussing, I guess, with the other chief.
I can,
What do you wanna do?
well, next up is TA update, so I can,
Are they just waiting on us though?
I think he called them out.
Well, let's,
Do you wanna find out if they're ready or if we should continue our meeting?
I think we should finish our meeting.
Okay. I'm sure when they're ready, they're gonna come to the door, I think. So, yeah, Nelson, do you wanna start with your updates?
So at one of my weekly rural community updates, that's a weekly Zoom meeting for, small cities and towns throughout the Commonwealth that might be considered, rural. I had heard that the Community Compact Grant program might be going away pretty soon, which is unfortunate to hear because we just recently got a, $130,000 grant to digitize, town records. And we had gotten a grant to install fiber throughout town buildings. And we actually received a phase 2 grant to finish up, installing fiber. So to hear about this grant potentially going away is unfortunate because I think we've, have benefited from it quite a bit over the last few years. So to see it going away, it might mean certain projects just, can't get funded unless, we fund it through
Capital.
or free cash. So.
About how much per year is it in the past?
Let's see. So the digitization was 133,000. The phase 2 of the fiber project is about 110,000. And I think phase 1 was over 200,000.
So maybe 20,000 a year about?
Possibly.
Is that every year?
No, you have to find projects that fit their criteria and then you apply.
Uh-huh.
So I would say,
Is that like through the grant writer?
yes, correct.
And who manages the Community Compact Grant?
At the
State?
moment, yeah, well, yeah, it's through the state, but I thought you meant.
No, sorry, I meant
in-house.
who's authorized this funds to.
Yeah, it's the state, correct. So, but once I know more of when this is sunsetting, I'll let the select board know, but it's just rumors. I'm not sure there's been any actual communication from the state level that's saying it's going away, but that's just the scuttlebutt.
Okay.
Let me see here. So special town meeting on September 25th. I have secured the high school auditorium for that.
Good.
The one question that we should decide on is, do we want to go live? If we want to go live, we would need to have Pepperell assist us. And, Dave at TCAM has a good relationship with them, so he can make that happen. But we kind of need to make a decision so that he can start working that angle.
I'm good with it.
I'm good with it.
That's how we always do that.
It's an option.
What was the last few meetings, have we?
Yes.
Yeah, because Pepperell helped.
And just to clarify for people too, this is primarily because of the MBTA Communities Act.
Yeah.
That's why we're having this in September.
That's the main focus, correct. There's gonna
I think
be,
there'll be a couple other.
Yeah, absolutely. But that is why because we usually don't have a September meeting.
Correct.
This is not our special town meeting that we usually have in the
correct,
winter.
No, but
but
you're also announcing, right, that tonight is the opening of the warrant.
yes, the warrant did open.
Or is that
It opened
Yeah,
at six
and it
PM.
closes on
Yeah,
the 2nd.
on September 2nd at noon, correct. And I've already received some ideas for articles.
Okay.
So it's maybe 6 in total at the
The
moment.
Dudley Meadows is hopefully gonna be on there.
It is, yeah, that is, yep, that's on there. So there's about 5 or 6 that I've already gotten suggestions for.
And planning's gonna have their public meeting on,
September 15th.
for anybody who wants to attend that, which is directly related to.
Yeah.
What will be discussed at the town meeting vote on.
Correct.
Just so anybody who, everybody knows when it is.
As well as adding, single family to the multifamily overlay district. Does that sound familiar?
It was part of their discussion.
Beth sent me something today that she wants that added as an article, along with the MBTA Communities Act.
And where is that meeting and what time?
So the public hearing
It'll be
is Thursday, September 15th, at 6:35 in the Selectmen's Chambers. And, yeah, so I think, Beth had a packet that I think she might be sending off to either the select board to review or maybe just planning.
What are the other article possibilities?
Let me see what I have here. So we got the Dudley Meadows. There was talks of adopting a certain mass general law where now the town has the ability to produce literature, either for or against certain ballot questions. So I know Pepperell did it recently. I haven't had a chance to talk to the TA about it. He says there are some pros and cons to it, so I haven't had a discussion with him yet. But if you adopt this mass general law, it gives the town a little bit of flexibility in terms of
Advertising ballot measures.
yeah, either for or against. Because at the moment you can't do any of that.
And that doesn't mean we have to, if it just allows us to.
Correct. Yeah. So it gives you the option to do.
Or
that.
is this the one where if, like a lot of times when on a state ballot, you'll see
Like a
yes
paragraph.
means this, no means this.
I believe that would be part of it.
And
yes.
we can do it for hours. For
Yeah, and
hour
it doesn't
questions.
mean that we're pro or con. It means you're explaining yes
Right.
means this and no means this.
Right.
Right.
And then you make your own decision. Okay.
Yeah, I believe there is certain language that you can or can't include. I don't know the specifics, but at least it gives you some option of putting something,
Yeah, I
out
think
there.
that's a
And
good
the town-
idea.
Anyway, the town clerk can explain this. 'Cause
Yeah,
they're in charge of
sure.
the ballots.
Yeah, yeah.
Sure.
Let me see.
That's a good thing.
There were talks about resurrecting the noise bylaw. That was voted down, I think, 2 town meetings ago. And that kind of goes hand in hand with something that I put on here. I feel like we need to potentially come up with a events policy. And what I mean by that is, I know if there's an event on town property, the select board and various departments have, a big say in how that event is run, the hours, what you can do.
Because they come for a permit, usually.
Right. Well, yeah, well, no.
Or is that just alcohol?
The alcohol for sure on town, yes,
Yeah.
alcohol for sure, but
You're renting the reading room on Memorial
Yeah.
Hall. There's, policies in place.
Yeah.
But what I feel like is coming down, the pipeline is events on private property.
Yeah.
That at the moment, there's really not much, the town or the select board, has jurisdiction over. And, if it becomes a traffic issue or, a noise issue, I know that would probably get referred to, the police department. But I'm not sure if long-term that's the best strategy. So I think, coming up with some events policy might prevent some of those things from, getting out of control. I've reached out to town council, they've had some experience, crafting language like this. So it's something I'm kind of just slowly exploring, but I feel like,
This would be not town properties.
correct. Yeah, it would be private property.
But you are exploring it to possibly be on the warrant?
No, it would not be on.
No, it would not.
But
Well,
the
the noise
Or
bylaw.
that we should be addressing it?
Yeah, the policy of the select board, but the noise bylaw is something that might be, at the special town meeting, as an
Okay.
article.
Okay. Can we stop here and go to 4.4?
Yeah.
Chief Shepley? Brett, do you want to come up?
Sure. Come on up, Brett.
I'm sorry, I forget your title,
Deputy Chief.
Deputy Chief. Welcome.
Did you have a plan, or should I share one with you?
I
Pass it down?
don't know anything.
Okay.
Everybody got it?
Everybody got one?
Yes.
Just to try to keep the ball bouncing in the right direction, if you want, we could run down this list. First thing that I've got on there, and I know that Nelson, you had called and asked for us to come today, and you had some questions. I made notes of your questions so that we can attack it somewhat in sequence. And the first one we have is surplus equipment. So I've got a letter here, I'll read it. And to the Honorable Select Board, as Chief of Department, I wish to have the Select Board deem the following pieces as equipment of surplus. 2015 Generac natural gas fired generator, serial number, surplus from Station 1, 10 years old, bad engine. This piece of surplus equipment is property of the Townsend Fire EMS Department. Number 2, 1994 Chevy 6.5 diesel turbo ambulance, VIN number X, which is surplus to Townsend Emergency Management, which we have not used or intend to use since taking control of emergency management. We will request that the town deem this as surplus and dispose of it. And I signed it. So I will give this to you and do it as you see fit. Number 2 on the list, I'll read this in.
So this is not on the agenda, the chief can certainly talk about it, but I think, in order to vote on it, we'll probably put it on, the next, select board's agenda. I just don't want,
Okay, just so that I read the agenda. 4.4, discuss resignation of assistant fire chief and fire department / EMS staffing.
Is that what you want to talk about?
That's what I can only talk about.
Okay. Well, you can see.
But we'll take this and anything else that you might want to have, and we'll put it on the next
Would you
agenda.
like it now or not? I can give it to you now. The next one, or do you want to not?
Yes, please, go ahead.
All right,
I just
so
wanted to say what was,
it's write-off of uncollected medical receipts. Once again, the select board, as chief of department, requests that the town write off and dispose of uncollected balance of $158,457.31 from medical services provided as uncollectible. The reason for these uncollectible amounts are a result for services rendered to those who have received services either not having insurance, unable to pay residual amounts from insurance company hardship claims, or deceased patients. The settled number began at $287,768, was consolidated, negotiated, and collected an additional $129,000, leaving an uncollected balance of $158,000. Unfortunately, I am unwilling and unable to provide names and reasons of each of these patients because of healthcare privacy regulations and dignity. A written response to myself so that I may address the accounting services and clean up our accounts would be appreciated. So I will give you that. I have a breakdown here. Unfortunately, I can't make it public. as to what and why, who has insurance issues, who has whatever issues, who's died, so on and so forth. And I'm not going to expose myself to that. I had asked earlier today, and I received an email from Nelson, said, what is the reduction for the Townsend Fire EMS Department? Can it be provided in a written document? It came in this afternoon, thank you for that, Nelson, on the 19th of August around, I don't have it with me written down, so I think it was 74,000. Is that number still consistent?
76 cents.
How much?
73.
73.
73.
73, yeah. Okay. Number 4 on the list was a succession plan to replace firefighter paramedics. Is there still a hiring freeze?
No.
So we put out, and we had a paramedic resign. He was going to a hospital environment, and we wanted to hire him, so we put out an ad. We had 11 or 13 respondents. 4 of them met the criteria. We brought them in for an interview. We scored them. We had one that scored very well, ready to hit the ground running. Brought him in today at 1 o'clock, and before we began, he retracted his offer for employment. So we'll have to go back out again. I'll be back in touch with Callie to redo that. It's very much the state of the way right now for how things are done with emergency services. Folks will look. Some folks may be qualified. Many may not have the same qualifications that we want. And we're back in that place. But right now, we will be affected by overtime and a variety of other things that will impact our bottom line. And that's why I need to know what is the reduction you're looking for.
So you're down to 1 paramedic.
No, I don't know. You've got, I try to have double paramedics. I'd have to count them, but we may have 5, but we're better off when we have 6 or 8. We've got 1 in training that'll be back up this fall, and we're okay right now. But if we want to run a double medic, if the town wants to have the type of income that it's been enjoying from our department, we need to get back there. And I think March 10th event sent a little shockwave through that. Whether it's relevant or not to this or the next part, to the succession plan of the assistant chief, when folks don't feel supported or they think that there may not be stability above, they're not interested in hanging out. So I think that's something outside of our department, and they want to make sure that if they take a job that they're able to stay and that people are being supported. So that's a reality, plus pay is another factor. So if that has been removed, and we can begin the other process tomorrow, I'll be back in touch with Callie to refresh that advertisement. Once again, overtime numbers will skew the budget. Succession plan to replace the assistant chief to chief. Jim was a great guy. He had danced the dance. He's seen how a city works. And he had enough insight as to what was going on and where things were going. And I've had some very frank conversations with him, and we call it the death of 1,000 cuts. And so he opted to step out. So I have his letter of resignation. It's in effect. He has presented to the town and now is out with his closeout vacation time, so he is no longer active. As of last Thursday was his last shift. This is a challenging environment for chief officers, whether it be fire chief, assistant chief, or deputy chief. Once a chief, always a chief. You own it. You don't go on vacation. You don't go home. You don't leave it away. If there's an incident, whether it be in the fire or the police side, you own it. And there's a fair amount of responsibility. And Townsend is still servicing on the ALS side significant calls to Ashby, Groton, and Pepperell, although Pepperell has amped up a lot. We go to Lunenburg once in a while. Today we were in Brookline. When I left the station We had had 10 calls today, so that's an extraordinarily high amount for today. Our third ambulance is coming, but there were times today that the people never got back to the station. They would go on their calls and they would come back, and it wears folks down. And it wears those that are responsible for staffing that and making sure that people's heads are in a good place. So the succession plan, we certainly weren't anticipating this. It was my hope that with a little bit more time that he would be excited to take my role and I could just wander off into the sunset. I really have no interest in looking too far down the road as to my tenure, but I would like to hope that we can begin to identify skill sets again and identify potentially interested parties and put an ad out at some point during the fall, begin the interview process sometime in the spring and have somebody in play sometime in the spring. The fact that he has left and the fact that we received today the reduction in our budget, by no means should anyone expect, if we want to continue to operate at this level and to generate this level of income to support us. And I've had calls from folks in town after the association made their plea to make sure that the town was adequately supported. And there were plenty of positive comments, more than negative, but there were some concerned comments that just because you raise more money doesn't mean you get to keep it. And I look at it like this, that in 2018, the amount of contributions from the town as well as to 2024 fiscal year were effectively the same, within $30,000. 2025 is going to go up. We had a plan in play that we felt could reduce the cost of operating the fire EMS service. Even if the budget encroached upon $2 million, that would have the cost around $500,000 a year. The shattering that has taken place and the shift of confidence has left me wondering if we can deliver that. And I would say we can't. And there were comments that have come to me that that's not fire EMS money, that's town money. But if we can keep our costs of operating low enough and deliver the highest level of service with the right amount of equipment, that does not always make people warm and fuzzy, but the cost of the town is less. What could happen, and this is not any type of fear mongering, is that if we shift back to where we were 2021, we've only got 6 or 8, 10 people on the paid call side, and you got overtime where some folks are at $180,000 a year. It is unsustainable, and it will act much like what we've seen with the hospital where they collapse. So I believe that we're still in a good position, and I think we can stay in that good position, and I would like to have a succession plan that understands that, because many of the keyboard warriors, and including folks maybe even in this room, don't understand the mutual aid agreements, don't understand the requirements from DPH, don't understand the requirements in the fire service, which we have to entertain all of those, in addition to the federal government reporting. There are minimum standards that we need to meet, and it's not 5 people per engine. It's to be able to track and to be able to do all these things with no admin. So when we lose our assistant chief that not only is certified as an advanced EMT, highly qualified in fire suppression, but understands the clerical side of it, so we have no admin that will need to be able to do that. So his whole salary will not be a savings if we are to attempt to maintain and manage the level of service that we're providing. Like I said, 10 calls so far today. From 4 o'clock this morning, I think Brett was on the first crash. We had an MVA this morning that took out the telephone pole, 2 vehicles involved, 1 transport tied up for an hour, and it was non-stop all day. So if we're going to manage that, not only for us, but for the region, and try to generate between $700 and $1 million a year, that position has to be filled, or we'll have a no response available when we're called to these. And I don't want to see Townsend having 911 calls that we don't respond to. But folks, it's a reality that it could happen. So my suggestion, and I hope, unless someone here has a better idea, and I believe Nelson said to me one day, not that long ago, this is what we want to do. If you have a better idea on how to run my department, this department, and tell me how to do it, I'm all ears. But I think we need to understand the skill set. We need to understand what's in front of us, who's capable of picking up what pieces, who's capable of doing a variety of these tasks so we can continue to deliver. Then identify what that new scope would look like for a person and put it out there and have someone hired and give them about a year's time so that they're ready to take the full position. You will not be getting the next chief at $65,000. Settle in on that.
So can I ask a question?
You sure can.
So, you're saying you want someone in play in the spring.
Yeah.
So between now and then, how are the duties that the assistant fire chief
Was doing.
did, how are they being covered?
So some of us are on double duty, and we've got really capable, competent, qualified folks. And I intend next month's September meeting, which will be the first Tuesday, to put it out there to everyone, that anyone that's interested in added responsibility. And I have to give all these folks credit. There was a day that the television was on, it's not. They're taking the responsibility and they're stepping up, but there is only so much bandwidth when you're not in the station and when you're running the road. So to answer that question, Veronica, I don't know who's going to be sharing what responsibilities right now, but I can tell you these two guys right here are 24/7 when we're in town, and we're doing what we can in the command role, but we will need a full-time position, whether it's an admin, I don't know, that can assist in some of the billing, some of the payroll, some of that other stuff, so that those that are doing the payroll now and those that are doing all the bill warrants can focus on some of the other reporting that needs to be done. It's not clear. I mean, this happened very quickly.
All right.
And to jump into this and say, oh, we're just gonna re-advertise and we're gonna find this person, I might be looking for a needle in a haystack.
Didn't it take you about a year to get?
Jim worked with us 4 years in grooming. 3 years before he stepped in, and he stepped in and he was with us just over a year.
So I think it's fair then to say that the funds, for those people that say, oh, there's, his salary's out there and it can be dispersed, it's actually going to be used to pay the people in the firehouse to do the work that needs to be done, that Jim was doing.
Yes. I would hope that would be that simple, but I'm not sure that it is.
Okay.
The matrix of the hiring, our payroll is not like every other department within the town. I think you're aware of that.
Oh, I am aware of that. Well, I guess what I'm saying is there are duties that still need to be done.
Correct.
Someone needs to cover those. And you'll be covering them from within, not with people's existing salaries, but with Jim's salary. Those will help to pay the people that are doing those jobs.
So I think the town made a big statement, and I think that once again, the keyboard warriors did a great job of convincing folks there's millions of dollars, and the 1.2 that was extracted out. So what I will hope to identify as far as skill sets is how we can juggle some of the requirements and responsibilities of those that are already in place to say, maybe this person can do this portion of fire prevention and share what they were doing with someone else. So there's a redundancy and an overlap. So maybe we can get some added value out of these people without added costs. But we're not going to have that clear picture for months.
Is it a time when, I know we've talked about administrative help at the department before. Is this a time where you can look at that structure and say, is it best to look at how you guys function and reevaluate if this is the time to do that, if there's cost savings there, by taking that administrative burden away from a potential person coming into that position or the people that are there right now? Does that make sense?
Not following you.
Me either.
Okay. We've talked before about the administrative burden on the upper level staff at the fire department, and other departments have administrative help, and you guys don't.
Oh, it's a different animal.
So what I'm asking is there potential there to hire a lower paid person to take that on?
So that was my comment, Val, about an admin possibly.
Yeah, that's what, I'm just throwing that out there as looking at your org chart right now and your upper level
But even
and
the
taking that
admin,
responsibility away.
during the budget process, it was put in that we would get a $70,000 admin in a year. I don't see that possibility. So there comes a point in time where if you're hiring a no-skilled person, you're better off not having that person and having someone that understands it. If you don't know the coding that goes along with this and you've got to train someone and then whether they stay or they don't, and the reality of it is not a lot of folks are coming in and less of them are staying. So I don't have that answer. I would love to be able to say, we'll pick up an admin from the selectman's office and they can come down and do some of our work.
Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah, I was just wondering if it's in your thought process while you're looking at this opening.
There's nothing that we won't discuss or look at. But I've had conversations with each one of you independently, individually down there that there's a variety of factors that has increased the stress level of our operation. Not just because of the closure of the hospital, but requirements on multiple sides, including the federal government, which has made a new change that we have to have a completely different operating program that we have now implemented before the middle of January 26th. So bringing someone in and trying to ramp them up into that is you've got to have some fire background, you got to have some EMS background, and if you got both backgrounds, that's even easier, but if you've got none of that for background, it's a vertical learning curve. And then the production may be significantly less. Just how I see it.
Okay, no, I mean,
So therefore, if someone comes to me and says, we have a better way, then do tell me. But sitting on the sidelines saying, well, you should do this, whoever the person is, needs to understand all of those requirements that we have to work under in the lane that we're traveling in is very narrow.
Like, trust me, personally, my daughter's an EMT. I understand the world you guys are working in right now a little bit. So I'm not denying that at all. I'm just, the town is speaking. And so I think we're trying to limit the fallout as much as possible.
So the town has spoken and they want cuts, we'll give them cuts. If they dial for help and we can't come, we can't come. We'll do the best we can.
Oh, I know you guys will. I'm not denying that at all.
But it just needs to be, folks need to be aware. There will be an opportunity like other communities that dial for help that we go to. And we're right now preparing the analysis to say, how many times have we been to the ABC town, the CDEFG town, or the XYZ town? And then how many times have they been here? And I can assure you that the amount of times that we've been versus the amount of times they've come back is minimal.
So whatever happened with Pepperell? Have you been in touch with Andrew about any sort of compensation for the?
I have. And those conversations have picked up over the last several weeks. There is a desire to compensate us for the level of support we've provided them over the winter time. I can't say it's going to be, 100% of the resources that we've put towards that community. That, in a perfect world, that would be the case. But, first, I don't think they have necessarily all that money to give us. And second of all, while it's good practice to do something like that, it's certainly not a requirement by any means, when it comes to mutual aid. So I think whatever we can get from them, I think it will help us. But what that amount looks like, I don't know at the moment. But
If it's even.
right, but I can assure you, it's not going to be 100%.
I will share this with you relative to that, is that I have not been part and parcel to any of those conversations. They went cold on me sometime in April after we sent the letter out after the March 10th event and said, look, we gotta pump the brakes because this is how it looks. And we still ended up turning back, I think, $47,000 at the end of the year. And for those that say we've gone up 20%, no, we've gone up about 60% since I've been in charge, but we've also more than doubled our returns. So we've been able to fund that. And I think without the guy or the people sitting at the table that understand the cost, the operation, and what is an appropriate response is probably not going to yield much return. And I would say that during the hospital closure, even though, thank you, Nelson, for going to the governor's signing, I had zero information and time from late Friday night till Monday morning to be able to change our schedule to get there, couldn't do it. So thank you for going. But that first 250, I was in that meeting the very first day that happened. And the Department of Public Health Director, Dr. Robert Goldstein, I asked him some very pointed questions. He laughed and scoffed, and he said, we're not here to give you any money, and I'm not answering hypothetical questions. There were 5 communities that were involved. We certainly exerted enough of what we thought was appropriate information that the first 250 came to those 5 communities, with a caveat on that as to how that money would be spent. And I think, without getting too deep into it, there is room for part of that conversation. And I'm all for mutual aid, and I'm all for supporting our neighbors. But I also think there comes a point where you go beyond what is a reasonable expectation, and then you have to be able to look at that. So there's that first 250. And then for the second 350, and with all due respect, Nelson asked me, what's the criteria on that? For those that are sitting on the sidelines saying, well, we're just going to take that 350 and throw it in the fire EMS budget, and we'll take 350 from them and balance it. The criteria on this is going to be somewhat rigid. They are not going to just say, take the 350, use it as you see fit. There will be requirements on shelf time, wall time, which is time that you put with your back against the wall, whether you're with a patient, distance traveled, a variety of those other things. That first 250 we had to use for equipment. So the ambulance that's coming in, there are escalation clauses in that. There'll be no impact to the town. They've tried to, once again, escalate. They've tried to push that out for 6 months. They've only been able to push it out for 2. All of that is able to be absorbed into that 250, but the balance, 150 odd thousand of that, is all for equipment, all for ultrasounds, all for monitors at $40,000 a piece, all for ventilators, things like that, that can do in the back of that ambulance while we're either transporting to a high level care or waiting against the wall to be able to get a bed in an emergency room. So that first 250 is gobbled up there. The second 350, we don't know if we'll get 250, 300, 350, 400, 450. I think we can build a case that says we've supported all these other communities at a higher level of care, therefore there has to be something in that matrix for that. And being part of these conversations from the beginning, over a year ago, you don't step into that in one moment and have it all understood. So I can't tell you what will be available or how we can use it, but you can rest assured from the conversations that I've had to this point in time, you're not going to get a check for $350,000 made out to the towns of Townsend and say, use it any way you see fit. And for anybody that thinks that, I'd like to know where they're getting their information, because from the DPH all the way down to us as at the chief level, and there's been no one other than Jim and myself participating in these conversations, I don't see it happening. So that's not a golden parachute for solving the budget.
Have they given you any timeframes on when you're going to start getting that information?
October.
And it's 350 over 2 years, correct?
No, it's 350 a year, plus it could be another 350 next year. It all depends on whether or not. So we'd asked for 10 million, they gave 5. I honestly didn't think they'd give any. After the conversations that we had, they were very aggressive to say you're getting nothing. So to get the 5 million, I'm impressed. But to have another 5 million in a supplemental budget that's sitting in the wings for potentially another year, but that only solves our problem, potentially solves our labor problem down there if the town still wants to see that level of response out of our ambulance reserve receipt account. Now, let me point out that
prior to 2021, 350 to 450 was about what the returns were. And right now, last year, we brought in $960,000. That's more than double. And it's because we've been providing the service that generates that revenue. So I know that some folks with the public mindset say, you can't think about this like business. Well, if you don't think about it like a business, then you're gonna have a different type of a problem. And we've been able to think about it like a business, and our people have bought into this, and they do their reportings, and they do their codings, and they do all those things that you can't bring an amateur in, that allow us to bill an appropriate level to get those higher incomes in. The question comes to one thing. Do you as a town want to have higher levels of care, or are you satisfied with whatever shows up? And the choice of the succession plan hinges upon the person's ability to understand where we are, where we're going, how to manage that, how to stay in front of it.
May I ask a question? Do you feel that it's even feasible we could have a deputy chief in spring of 2027? And so if we posted it in fall and making it in spring, because it sounded like it took quite a long time to groom Kirk for that role. I know he wasn't always full time, but considering where we're located, the salary we can offer, that seems aggressive to me to have someone in place by then.
Thank you, Kelly. It is aggressive, but I will tell you, you will not get a chief at 65,000. But the current chief that's doing it for 65,000 is partly insane for spending that level of time. And when I was suggested that I should reduce my pay, I'm all done if that happens. It's unfathomable to be on call 24/7 if you're in a community to address that level of problem. But I also think that if you're at $150, $160, $180,000, you're going to attract the type of talent that understands how all these things weave together. And I also think there are folks, I know there are folks out there that have looked at Townsend and looked at the operation and said, and they've called me, what are you going to do with that position? So we have to be able to identify what that position is going to be like and then put it out there. Not tailor the position to a person, but to create the position and hopefully attract the right person. I think we can, but you're not going to do it for 65. You're not going to do it for 110. You're not going to do it for 125.
And can any of that 350 or subsequent allocations be used toward salary?
Tell you in October. Don't know. But right now, it can feed itself and it can maintain that level. I think the biggest problem will be if we don't maintain that level and our income or your income drops back to 500,000, then all of a sudden the contributions by the town goes up and you'll have no other choice but to cut. And then it's a downward spiral. But we've proven that this model works. And the proof is in the finances. The proof is in the fact that we've been able to deliver almost $1 million a year. Any other questions?
I think we're good. I'm good.
If I may, the equipment status of where we are, which is all part and parcel to this conversation, our assistant chief has been an integral part of the development of our TAC line, whether it be on the medical side or on the fire prevention side. And I think where folks have become incredibly short-sighted, and Deputy King has been working with someone in the ISO, and we've been attempting to try to get this up for review to be able to drive our numbers down. And Brett, I don't know how much you want to get into that, but when this shift, if this shift happens, it will be it's like gasoline. Gasoline goes up a lot faster than it comes down. The response to change your insurance rates will go up a lot faster than the response to lower your insurance rates. So when our shoot times drop and it takes longer to get out the door, or we start not showing up, or we can't put 25 people on the ground in 6 minutes for a building fire, and we have 4 of them in the course of the springtime, insurance companies are going to change the risk. And then that cost will go to the homeowner with no choice. There'll be no choice. There'll be no discussion. There'll be no debate. But it puts us in an awkward position that we are trying to avoid getting into. So with that, Jim has worked with Brett and myself. We have a great hierarchy, call it a chain of command, officer corps, however you want to look at it, where people have that skill set that we've talked about, how we identify, how we spread that out. But it's very critical that we have the right equipment, the right people, and the right knowledge. So with that, the 2 Seagraves trucks that were supposed to be here in July, we've had pretty regular hard battles about the increases. We know that those trucks currently would not be at 708, 730 and 850 or 815. They're going to be they would be at 1.1. And there are people in this room that thought that they should push these things back and go out. There's a $700,000 delta between buying a fire truck today versus buying a fire truck 3 years ago. And we did return money to the town, and we were grateful that that increase that was voted upon in March came from free cash, which gave us some back, but we still got to outfit these trucks. And they told us that we should expect the middle of September for a completion date, but add 6 weeks on top of that. So those 2 attack engines should be available sometime fourth quarter this year, and I hope we can continue to move on. The good news may be that we will have 1 fire engine that I will come to you to put in surplus. You can't get fire engines right now. It's over the 20-year mark, so it's not going to be a level 1 fire attack piece, but it will still have some value. And if we can make sure that we can cross the finish line with a reasonable piece of equipment that is able to be sold to another community within the country, there could be value, $20 to $60 to $70, $80,000. We don't know. We don't know. But if we trade it in, it's only $5,000, and I don't recommend that. I would recommend that we wait, get that trucks in place, surplus it, and then try to put it in the market, and that generates some more money for the town. The ambulance, they are so far behind. It's a national issue. You can Google it. You can do very little work to find how far behind ambulances are. They're 3+ years out now. And if you would order an ambulance, they've considered putting moratoriums on ordering ambulances because they just can't turn them out fast enough. They break down, they die, they crash. There's so many reasons, but we're still in play for the spring, February of 26. And we still have the equipment for this. We still have everything that appears to be working. So part of our success has been pre-planning and forward thinking, and that would be the role of the next chief or the next assistant chief to be able to participate in that. But I think that it will be both a bittersweet, exciting time and sad time in the fall and the spring when the new equipment comes. We got to be able to outfit it, to be able to do the job, to keep the ISO happy, to be able to service the folks when they call for help.
Are they all made in the United States?
What?
The ambulances and the fire and the trucks?
For sale?
Are they made here?
Excuse me?
Are they made here?
Oh, yes. Well, that's the difference. You have a commercial truck that's made to be a fire pumper, or you have a fire truck, which is designed like the trucks that we're getting, a stainless steel. Instead of having a 20-year truck, we've really targeted a 30-year truck, so it's a stainless steel body, and they're designed to have fail-proof systems in place so that the pumps will always be able to work with a level of redundancy, and of course you have regular testing. So those type of fire trucks at those prices are, yes, made here in America, and they have certain criteria that have to be met. That's why they're so expensive.
Are others made outside?
Sure.
Like Canada? Where are the trucks coming from? Are they coming?
Seagraves right here in America.
Oh. And the ambulance also?
So, everybody has a preference. You want a Mercedes, a Ford, a VW, where do you want to be? And I think we're at the highest level of what we feel to be competent quality for the price. May not be the Rolls Royce, but these are 30-year trucks if they're maintained, And, it's like buying a rescue truck that people complained about. In one of the meetings that we had, we didn't need it, but by putting a $30,000 rescue truck with ARPA money in play saves an $850,000 ladder truck that's now 1.5 million. Lastly, I will tell you that with the 350, we had delinquent in one piece, and it's an interface 4-wheel drive, whether you call it forestry, whether you call it something else. Tomorrow, we have a task force that's going out to an out-of-control brush fire. They'll be leaving here at some point tomorrow morning, and they'll spend the day in Central Mass on an out-of-control brush fire during the day. But with snowstorms, weather events, and a variety of things that are going on, we've always managed to have appropriately placed equipment with our 3 stations. We're lacking a piece in the harbor, which I think we can work through that with some of that grant money, that say that in the event of a weather event and we have to get to somebody through a foot of snow, this is how we do it. And the money is short. So it will be a conversation that happens, but not until we know the criteria. And I will also tell you, with the lead time on ambulances, expect a conversation here sooner than later about putting an ambulance in play for 3 years with the right to back out of it. Because other than that, you're gonna have equipment that will be failing.
Just know we have no funds in capital.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that, but just remember, don't need no money. Need no money.
Just to reserve
Yeah.
money 3 years down the road.
Well, in the event that we picked the plan and stayed with it, if the town got behind it, I really believe that these are self-funding pieces. And I do believe that had we executed without being meddled with, that we would have reduced the cost of the town by $250,000 rather than increase it. And the proof is in the pudding on what we've delivered. Lastly, it's 150 years for us this year. We had a celebration plan. I think the town had spoke. It was all going to be funded through the association and other folks around town, but we decided to scale that back. There'll be an open house. The museum may be opened up by then on the 5th of October, but there'll be no parade. There'll be nothing else.
Oh. That was the 150th for our fire department.
Right.
Are you gonna rethink that?
No, I think the town has spoken, and I also think that, we have to address what they've said. They've asked for a reduction, and we gotta give it to them. And it's not up to us to use our 350 to balance the budget. They want to cut, give them the cut. Shut down town hall on a Friday. Reduce this, reduce that. They asked for it. They claim there's that much money. Hey, show them what they've asked for. Give it to them. And waiting months more is just going to add more agony to it. That's why I was pushing Nelson today. Tell us what the amount is. We'll cut it. And by cutting that, maybe that some of what I told you tonight isn't going to work. Happy for any questions.
All right, so back to succession plan.
So complicated.
As far as the org chart goes, that job stays open
Correct.
until you're ready to post it.
Correct.
And the position is filled by the staff that you have. The work that needs done will get done.
We hope.
Okay. All right.
If I may, how do other fire departments, do they have admin?
All of them. When I took my job and Veronica was in the room, I said I will cut my pay in order to be able to use the left of my salary to increase wages to get higher skilled and competent folks in work.
It did.
Did.
Yeah. We needed to do that. I don't know about cutting the pay, but we needed to have we were spending so much money on overtime, and the pay rates in fire were lower than they should have been. And it really did work over the past few years to get everything up to where it should be.
Can I interrupt you just for a second?
Sure.
Veronica and I we're very different in some of our beliefs, but we share the same compassion for the community. And Margaret Scousdale had called me, and I use this metaphor or analogy, however you want to look at it, to say the fire service really hasn't changed that much in 100 years. And if the rest of society hadn't changed, we'd all still be driving Model A's. We have to change. We have to rethink how we do business.
Yeah.
And if we say that it's up to the taxpayer to figure it all out, it doesn't work. So we've got to get skilled and competent and qualified people in, and we do that by paying them and creating an environment. And I think the reality of it is some folks in town, or some people perceive that people that work for the town are not treated well or supported or protected when they need help.
Yeah.
And then they leave. So if we can create that culture, at least down the street, I believe, and I believe we were well on our way. And if there's any negative to this disastrous budget that we've been dealing with and I hope that those folks can stand up and say, yeah, we pushed this budget down, and don't worry about the fact that when you call them for help, nobody shows up. And it's not crying wolf, but I have to go on the record to say that if we can't maintain, hire, and put the right people in place, we can't deliver what we've been delivering, and we can't give back $700,000 a year.
Can I, it sounds like we're at the end. Can I read Jim's letter?
Which one?
Kurt,
Yes.
his
go ahead, sure.
resignation. So this is dated July 14th, 2025. Chief Shepherd, it is with a heavy heart and grateful intention that I offer this letter as my resignation from the Townsend Fire EMS Department effective August 14th, 2025 at 1700 hours. I will always cherish the opportunity that this department has given me, and I wish nothing but the best for its members. Respectfully. And we thank him for what he gave to us while he was here. I'm very sorry that he decided to resign. I understand why.
Like I said, I think that it's a cut of 1,000 that did it. And again, I had a conversation, and I wrote down 2 parts of our multiple conversations. And he said, you know, I'm still willing to come and offer and do whatever when he can without getting himself in trouble. I mean, he left his previous job on a very high note. And 2 things that he said that made sense, and I wrote this down, was, what did you expect? So as we were talking about what was going on, and he would lean in and say, well, what did they expect? Well, what did you expect? You know, for those that say, oh, it'll be fine, it's not going to impact me.
Yeah.
You make big changes and you behave in a certain way. What did you expect?
Right.
And the other thing was from a book that he was reading. Said you can't control it. You can accept it, you can reject it, you can do whatever you want. But the quote there is, just let them. So he went out on a high note,
Yeah.
respectfully, no regrets other than I thought he'd do a great job in this role.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
The big question I think in my mind is, are you committed to staying until we have someone in place and ready to take the helm? Because otherwise we're gonna have a huge hole here, so logistically, I'm not saying you have to put that in writing, but is that your intention?
In my contract, Kelly, the town has the right to let me go with limited notification if at any. I have to, on the other hand, do that. There's no insurance, give me no insurance. I get no benefits. I just have to deliver.
Nobody would want your job at your pay.
Not this pay. I will tell you, I intended to leave in 2022. I think Veronica can speak to what the conditions were prior to. There was no disparaging comments made towards anyone or anything else. It was my intent to find a succession plan and to raise us to the highest level of care and service that we could. We got a bump in the road. I'm not staying forever. Nothing less further.
Do you want to add anything?
No. Any questions, concerns?
Lots of concerns.
Remember,
Thank you.
our people are our best asset,
I agree with you.
and us in the front of the boat, regardless of what boat you're in, have to protect our people. Above all else, we can't turn our backs on them. And if we do, there'll be nobody to support us. Thank you for your time. I'll be back when I have a plan.
Let us
Thank you
know.
very much.
Thank you.
Hope that wasn't all too much information, but it's a lot at stake.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So,
I was halfway done through my TA updates. I just have
Yeah.
a couple more items. The kids' country playground has reclosed again because the equipment has been delivered.
mhm.
They poured the pad, they
Mhm.
put up some footings and metal structures. So they're really moving along. It's only been 2 days and they're already like,
Yeah, I've
have a
seen
lot,
them working.
have a lot of that done. So I think I'm cautiously optimistic that we might be able to open right around Labor Day.
Nice.
So I'm excited. We're gonna have a brand new playground for the kiddos to enjoy. Thank you so much to Kieran for sort of all the work he's done, and Cemetery and Park and Highway. We've saved a lot of money doing some of the demolition work in-house. Probably in the magnitude of $8,000 to $10,000 at least.
Great.
So, kudos to everyone, and
Parks and Cemetery is a big part of that, and Highway, right?
correct.
Mhm.
Yep. Yeah, we did a lot of that with in-house labor.
So has anybody asked where that savings is gonna go?
Whatever savings there might be, we're probably gonna put it back into the project in terms of paving and striping the
Oh.
area right in front of it. Those are ADA requirements, and for a while, we weren't certain if we would actually be able to do that. I think with the savings that we're gonna realize, we can put some of that money towards paving and striping the handicap accessible spots right in front there.
Are they gonna have an opening ceremony?
I'm not sure. That's a good question.
So just start playing on it.
Yeah.
I'll talk
Go
to.
for
I don't think you can stop kids from playing on a playground, but it's
Yeah.
good.
I'll talk to Amy Harrington. Maybe the Kids Country Playground Committee will, have something very small, just, to, officially christen the new playground.
A
Ribbon cutting.
Ribbon
We need a
cutting.
ribbon cutting.
We might have money in the
We said
budget
that
for
at the
that.
same time.
So I'm excited that might be done very soon. Great news, we got a Green Communities grant. Kudos to Kieran. He, assisted with that. This round of grant funding, most of the work that is being done will be at the Hawthorne Brook School, and it's going to be replacing the lighting there.
Oh, yeah, yes, I read that.
There's a little bit of money to do a HVAC study in Town Hall. Town Hall has some really old boilers and cooling systems, which the staff here will attest to. You see dripping ceilings from all the moisture and condensation from the AC units running, nonstop during the heat waves. So, it's gonna take a lot of work to potentially replace everything down the road, but we kind of don't really know the full scope of it until we have, some HVAC engineers come in and sort of look at the entire building. So that's part of that grant as well. So in the coming weeks, we'll start talking to the school department, make sure they're aware of what's going on, and, lighting is typically fairly easy to put in, so probably do it during like school vacation where it's least impactful to operations. And the HVAC study, that can probably be done in a few days, with the engineer just walking around with, guidance from the facilities, director. And that was all the updates I had.
Events policy?
Can I back up to the special town meeting?
Sure.
After the noise bylaw, what were the others? Were there any others?
Oh, right. Let's see.
Oh, yeah, the warrant.
The MBTA's Community Act.
Yeah.
There's one from the planning board to add, single family to the multifamily overlay district. And the other one that we're considering, and you might recall this, a few months ago, was, currently, a town employee, has a 17-day allotment for military leave. We're looking to maybe increase that threshold. I don't know to what amount exactly, but
Isn't there a state?
I won't support that right now. Only because of cost to do that.
Is there
That's
state
for a
requirements?
military
Do we
leave.
meet the minimum requirements currently, or are we?
We
off?
currently meet the minimum. There was a request for more,
Yeah.
and there's an ability to have more. And I support that in general, but I don't know that right now is the time to implement that.
I think we need the minimum for reserve, so 2 weeks of training, 2 weekends a year is the 17.
Yeah.
That's reserved.
Yeah.
So we don't have, any other like active duty or anything, so.
Right. I would just hold off on that.
so.
That's my opinion right now.
So there is one employee that is, coming up, towards that allotment. The alternative for this individual
Well,
is
that's per year, right?
correct. But they have some training coming up that is gonna, get them over the 17 days that current policy, will compensate them for. So in that situation, I think what was kind of decided as a stopgap measure is they could request a waiver, and that is probably a waiver that the select board would review and potentially approve.
Waiver
The thing is,
for
we have
leave
to
or
pay
for
for
vacation
staff.
pay
to cover
or
that person.
what?
To increase their military leave, allotment from 17 days to X amount, 20 days or.
So,
I'm gonna have to step in and say, let's not do that, because when either we change it for everyone, I wouldn't make a waiver for one person based on that. If you want to change it, you have to change the policy, that's my take on it. And I'm not sure that we want to change the policy, I'm not suggesting that, I just,
do they not get paid? When they go to reserve duty or training or whatever, don't they get paid for
yeah,
their time?
we
By
pay.
us.
We pay the
Yes, by the employer.
By us.
Well, we pay the difference between
Yeah.
what they make, they get paid from the reserve.
Yeah, and you pay the difference
And then
in
we
what,
pay
to
the
what they would
difference,
pay,
if there is a difference.
would get
If
paid.
this is Mr. Stellato, he is not, is that who it is?
I-
So I believe he is at a threshold in the military where his salary is such that when you do the math, it's negative. He makes more working there, so we don't pay him.
Well, that,
But then who's
Well, I'm not
doing his
saying
job,
that's
right?
right.
Is that what you mean?
That is my concern, and I'm not thinking about a particular individual, I'm just thinking in general, we still have to pay for the job to be done.
Yeah,
And if we had any play in our budget, I would be okay in that, but we don't have play in our budget to cover that. To the extent that we'll have free cash this fall, but my prediction is next fall, we won't have free cash, and that puts snow and ice in
Yeah.
FY '27 in jeopardy. We just don't have the play in the budget. to allow that, and that's why I'm a no, even though I would normally be.
But
That's
that,
all.
but that was something the police chief, a few months ago was gonna try to cost out as well. But, you know, but nonetheless, this individual is, coming close to their, allotment. And if it is true, they actually make more if they were, you know, in the reserves, but the consequence of that is, you know, there might be overtime. That, but, you know, this individual does have a obligation to the reserve, so I don't know how you weigh that against, you know, the potential of added overtime costs. You know.
Is it okay with the board if I take the comment? No.
She has her hand raised up,
Yeah.
so I think. Cindy, you had a, your
Yes.
hand raised?
Quick,
Yeah,
please.
I just wanna say, which I think you all know me, that, I mean, I'm retired Army. I was in the
Yeah.
reserve for many years. I mean, I'll support veterans all day long, but on this one, I think it's important for you guys to know that the employer support of the Guard and Reserve, the laws only require, he has to have time off, even if he's gone for 5 years. It's up to 5 years, at least the last time I checked, that you gotta give him the time off. You don't have to pay him. So you can, I mean, everything else, you know, this, you know, meeting his, you know, matching his salary and things like that. I mean, it sounds like, I just hope there's no confusion between the department and the select board office that he can't take time off. I mean, if he has a military obligation, whether it's voluntary or involuntary, he can take the time off and he can't be stopped. You have to give him the time off. But you don't have
Okay.
to pay him any more than whatever, if you've got a 2-week plan, then that's what the plan is. I mean, and I mean,
think the other side of the coin here was who's gonna do the work while he's gone?
well, that's an employer issue around the world. And you're gonna have to deal with that no matter how, but he has to have the time off. That's the law.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay. You've got events, are we done with the warrant now, or is there more?
That was all I
think
had
that was
for.
it.
Okay.
events.
Events policy?
That
We
was,
talked about.
yeah, that was just something I mentioned. I think we should seriously consider, having a events policy for events on private property.
Do we want, and have you checked with Adam?
He said there are communities that have sort of similar policies. I will further the conversation
Okay.
with him to have him give us some examples. Maybe he can give us a rough draft of one that we can,
Look at September 2nd?
yeah, and, you know, fine tune for our
Because
needs.
it's a hot topic somewhere now, so
Correct. So
I think we need to
I
get
feel like,
something.
I feel like we need to get ahead of it.
What we need to is the tracks. Some people to towns, and I mean, let's give them how much we.
Oh, we definitely
We
deter
deter it.
business, but.
Oh, yeah, it's not
No,
about
no,
deterrent.
It's not about that.
It's about, controlling or having
Private
some.
property,
Making sure that the
Neighborhood.
abutters are cool.
Yeah, so
yeah,
maybe it's like half a certain time or whatever.
okay, I really do think we need to look and discuss
Yeah, I think so.
something,
Agreed.
All right.
That's all I have.
at least to know what authority we may or may not have.
I think a lot of planning, zoning, noise, those things are already in place.
No,
Yeah,
noise is
but not on private property. Is there?
I'm sure there's
Noise
right?
laws, but.
Or maybe that's a town thing. I don't know, everywhere I've lived, there's always been one. I just.
That's probably why it's come back up.
We'll see what he has to say.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so now we're under reports from board liaisons.
Whoops, sorry. Just lost it. Okay. I've been,
No, I was gonna do the thing about department stuff you said to do under town administrator. I started talking about the department reports.
Oh.
So can I backtrack a minute?
Sure.
So I was looking at them when for some reason, I only recalled once about getting like notice that there were town reports, department reports. So I went in to look, and so far this year, January there were 5 reports, February there were 6 reports, March there's 3 reports, April there were no reports, May there were 3 reports, June 3, July 4. In 24, in March, I don't think there was anything like January and February, but in March there was 9 reports. 5 of them came from the Treasury Department, whoever that would be. And then in December there were 5 of them. And then in December there were 5. Other than that, there really weren't any reports. So how are we getting department reports, and isn't it every department that's supposed to give a report?
In theory, yes. I will say, some departments do send them on a monthly basis, like clockwork. Others,
Except April,
um,
nobody did.
others
Could
really
just be that
don't.
they weren't there. Like I know the library does them with their trustee meeting. They just might not be
They're pretty
uploaded
good.
there.
Library has,
Facilities is every month,
yeah,
sometimes
highway,
the building, highway,
council on aging.
yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, but
Land use, there's no land use coordinator, so someone's
Yeah,
gonna
they
have
used
to
to.
make that report.
Right,
so I would say the reports are probably lacking, if you want to call it that. I need to reiterate to the department heads that,
it must be part of their job descriptions,
um,
should be looked at
Department heads
anyway.
probably is.
They all should be reporting to you. So how else would you know? And maybe like in the department head meetings that you have, which are supposed to be monthly, then they can all, we basically, from the ones that I went to, saw us talking about budget and nothing else this year. So that's my only experience. But I would think the department head meetings would be like a team working effort. Hey, we're now doing this here. And to the assessor's office, maybe you should know, I've got 29 new permits coming in. You know what I mean? There should be some kind of dialogue between all the departments.
I'll make sure that's sort of a agenda item where we actually spend time, not necessarily going around the room, but certainly things of note that department heads may want to bring up.
Yeah, let them know ahead of time, what would you like to share with everyone?
Yeah.
You know, kind of thing.
Yeah, so I think that's a good idea, and you know, we'll start building that into the monthly department head meetings. I'm still trying to get a feel for it. Like you said, most of the department head meetings we've been in are all about budget issues. I want to get back to a place where we're talking like operational
Right.
projects and issues that we want to share or discuss. So,
Make
and
some progress,
yeah,
step forward.
yeah. And one of the things I will reiterate to the department heads is they need to provide a monthly report. Unfortunately, a lot of them have not. I need to make sure that it's a habit they stick with moving forward.
As you're expected to do department reports every month, simply, you can simply build in what of this report, if you're like, you know, what have you already listed here, would you like to talk about at the next meeting? Or share with the next meeting or whatever, just to reduce the redundancy. You know,
Yeah.
we're busy.
Yeah, and then you can run it from there, getting their input beforehand too. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Select
yeah,
board liaisons. Oh yeah.
wait, go for it. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Why was I talking?
That's fine. So I've been talking a lot of liaisoning. And first I'm gonna go to the senior center. I met with Elise and Greg. And they just wanted to highlight some of the effects that the budget cuts that they've undergone the past year are going to have on the Council on Aging. And so just a couple of my notes is that in January, they lost the transportation administrator. So they eliminated that position, and Greg, who's the assistant, became, he started doing a lot of that responsibility. Part of his salary is now being paid by Lowell Regional Transit Authority as a result. So they kind of eliminated 21,000 from the municipal budget by that move.
Right.
But he only works 19 hours a week. So if he's doing all that transportation work, he's not doing other work. Then obviously they lost the chef that was paid by ARPA, and so their volunteer coordinator went back to the kitchen. So that volunteer coordinator position, again, is being manned by Elise, Greg, Jean. Horizon to be reduced to also pay for the kitchen assistant, so she has less hours now. Her duties of volunteer coordinator plus other staff. Obviously, the community service coordinator was 40 hours, it was ARPA funded. She was handling on the outreach for seniors, and now that responsibility is also on the 3 other staff. They also, they cut about 3,000 in expenses. And just for comparison, the day that I met, the day before, they had 103 people in the Council on Aging Center that day. So you have ever increasing usage with ever decreasing staff. Just for reference. And eventually they're going to have to start decreasing hours or services because they just don't have the manpower to do what they're doing right now. So, and that's within their purview. She's the director. It also relates to something with the library where we've cut the cleaning staff so much. A lot of staff in the library and senior center are working outside their job descriptions in order to clean the facility. And I know that a lot of people are hesitant to do that, but I just wanted to highlight how many people over there are doing that work. Seriously, doing cleaning things that are nowhere in their job responsibilities. And it is going to become a bigger issue. Cleaning that facility 2 days a week. It's a very public facility with hundreds of people some days is an issue. So I just want to keep that on the alert for coming forward into next year, and just so everybody's aware that that's a problem.
Do they get more kids than they get adults?
They get all the
They
above.
get everything.
Well, so the Council on Aging is
Seniors.
and then library is everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
One of the people grant for cleaning services or something, outsource that.
Something, but the other option too, I know, and I'm sure the library director can talk on this, is that because of the cuts this year, they will have to increase next year in order to stay certified. And one thing to consider is do we add facilities to that particular department in some regards? To specifically because the needs of this building are very different than the needs of that building. I think we're treating them as one from a facilities perspective. It's so different. Any of the schools will have custodial staff. But the employees over there are doing that public cleaning job. If someone is sick, there's a bathroom accident, there's a certain degree they won't, but there's a certain degree that they're taking this responsibility.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to highlight that.
The community needs to understand that.
Yes.
Yeah.
That we have lost that in the override.
Yeah. And so
situation.
then other liaison stuff, the school committee met for the first time this summer last week. And I know Nelson and the other TAs I don't know how that letter writing process is going.
I spoke to the Pepperell TA today. He is in the final stages of like a final draft, so to speak, for the letter to go out to the school district. I have not seen it yet, but once I see it, I will share it with the select board, get their input, and
Can I throw something in there since we're talking about schools? This is my part of my liaison report. I think that when we look at the schools, we have to start talking about the school resource officer. The town is only getting reimbursed, what, 80K
Yes.
for that? And that only just covers salary, really. What about benefits? I think that we need to, and retirement, that the town is paying for that officer. And I think we need to consider having the school pay a lot more than 80K to reimburse the town for the school resource officer. All 3 towns should be carrying that load. And so that's just something to keep in mind.
And so I encourage everybody to look at the school committee meeting from last week. There is discussion about what they have left over from FY25 and how that can or cannot be spent.
What I heard is that it cannot be spent to come back to the towns. That's what I heard.
Yeah. So I think that conversation, and I think that's an important part of all of the towns coming together with response to the school committee and the superintendent. In order to get clarification on that, I think it's really important to get that clarified in writing from the superintendent and the school committee, because there's a lot of people are asking me what is, and I know a lot of it has to go into their free cash, E&D, but this is the school committee, it's their vote really, and so I think that letter is really important. As long as I know that it's being sent, I can make sure that it's addressed at a meeting. I can bring it up in public comment if the TAs would like me to, just so that all school committee members are aware of it. And I think that would be helpful. And asking for a response, I think, is appropriate, because I don't want to put words in the superintendent or school committee as to how that can or cannot be spent. I think that's that response should come from the school committee.
So you were there?
I just watched. They don't do them in person.
I watched it too.
Oh, well, I actually got some text messages or something on Instagram, something, I got a message anyway, a number of them saying that, I guess in the last 6 months, 3 people have resigned from the school committee.
There has
One
been a
of
lot of
them,
resignations from
Just
the school
one
committee.
from, the last one was Ashby.
Yeah, Ashby's no longer up. That was last
Pepperell
week.
had a resignation.
Ashby.
Yeah, but Pepperell already had a
Yep.
resignation.
And Ashby was last week, or the week of the school committee.
And then was the other one from Townsend before that? There was
Well,
three.
there was
earlier.
one earlier from Townsend.
January or something, I think.
Yeah.
And so I think that's, and I'm hoping that, I don't know if the school committee members that are from Townsend are on our board list. I'm hoping they'll come to our training too. Open meeting, not training. But I know they're
Yeah,
elected
that's,
officials.
everybody was sent that email, I think.
Yeah,
School committee members too.
because they're elected officials. from Townsend.
I need to check,
They are
I need to
appointed.
check with Sabrina. She sent
And
it out
elected,
to
yes.
whoever was in a role of that, so I can't say for sure.
Okay. Just, and I'll forward it along to them and whoever he liaison to.
Okay.
So yeah, that was school. What other general government? Yeah, I think that's right now.
I attended the North Central Mass Regional Coordinator Council meeting this morning.
Yeah.
This is the one that
I
We are
at least did comment that no one over there has the time right now to participate in that.
That's a shame. I think that pretty much, I mean, I'm not gonna continue doing this. It's really not my role, to do that, but, I did get information. They're working on a mobility master plan, which is coming out in September. We saw 2 presentations, one from the, I'll say this wrong, Quabog, connector, a busing situation in 10 towns, and also the Winchendon Community Connector it's a new thing that they've had for about a year. It's pretty cool. The goal is that all people who live, work, and visit North Central Massachusetts can get where they need to go when they need to go. Most of these are on-demand services, but in any event, there's a mobility master plan coming out in September for comment. So I will see that we get that and that it gets circulated and that people can comment on it. It's kind of a shame for Townsend to not be involved, to not have, because we don't send anybody to these meetings, we won't have opportunities that could exist for the town for transportation. That's
I think
all.
it's just that, they're just stretched so thin that.
I agree.
Yeah.
Everybody's stretched real thin. But, you know, I was thinking, okay, so who else might be interested in it? If not, I mean, the senior center I know is, but what about recreation? What about somebody who's on the rec board? I mean, because it's for all ages, it's not just for seniors or disabled. Maybe if we're getting a ADA committee together, a Commission on Disabilities or whatever, maybe someone from that. I don't know if that's posted, if we have anyone else that we're appointing to that, but, so it's really they're targeting, elderly, disabled, and youth to get them to places. And there are a lot of good ideas out there. There are new grant opportunities coming out, microtransit last mile transit grant, the FY26 community transit grant program for operating and mobility management, and also a community transit grant program for vehicles. So there are things coming out that, you know, it would be perfect for a community services coordinator to be the person that attended this. That's normally what it would be. We just don't have it. So anyway, so I'll see that we get the mobility master plan and comment on it. They're planning to meet in September. They're typically every other month, and they were gonna do the next one in October. But because all these grants open in September and the master plan is gonna be available for comment, they expect to meet in September. I'll get the notice. And,
Does the senior center or council on aging, do they do their own grant initiatives, or do they go through Karen?
They would go through Karen too. I mean, a lot of their stuff is from the state funding, or the like LRTA is a separate thing. So that's all separate funding sources.
well, LRTA is the regional transportation out of Lowell, which is what Townsend typically did. And we are an MBTA community.
Yeah.
Because we are with
Yeah.
Montechusett. However, our transportation was coming from Lowell.
Mm-hmm.
So we petitioned to be part of MART. So Townsend is now part of MART and part of LRTA. The senior center was already doing LRTA, but for MBTA communities, we have to use MART if we're gonna provide transportation to get to, otherwise they're gonna be transported to Lowell, which is craziness, but it's what it is. So we're in an interesting situation. And the senior center wanted to keep their relationship with Lowell, which they should have, you know, they had that relationship already. But for other transportation in town, we need to be keeping an eye on what's going on there and making sure that we're part of whatever happens. Because the senior center isn't gonna be running all the transportation that the town could potentially need in the future. But, I am not volunteering to be the person. I'm a volunteer, I'm not paid staff, and it really should be somebody who's paid staff who does this. And I understand the situation that we're in, but it's what it is. I'll keep my eye out and I'll get the. I hate to see the town lose out, but hey, you know, it's not important to the people, so.
Do you have anything else?
Nope, that's pretty much it.
Housing trust, Madam?
Housing trust, we're meeting Thursday to do the RFP. I think that, Adam has everything he needs. I haven't looked to see if the deed's recorded. I will do that to check up on him and send him daggers otherwise. But we hope to have the RFP ready to roll here shortly.
Okay.
So
So I've had, quite a bit with Board of Health. And so today, I posted my sticker on my mailbox. And I posted it on Towns and what's going on, what's not going on, stating that they have to have their stickers by September 1st, or they won't be picked up. Their trash won't be picked up. Also, I did want to say, they have given out, or Carla has, she's done a great job, over 1,600 stickers, and there are still over 250 or more that have signed up online and have not picked up their stickers yet.
So I have a question. How much money has come in? It doesn't matter whether
I
they
don't know
picked
that.
up the sticker or not. It's really not by sticker number. I mean, it's really,
Well,
How
it's
much money?
$125
How
for
much?
every sticker that went out.
how much money has come in? How much has come in? Can we divide it by 125 and get the number of stickers that have been sold? Because talk about lack of transparency. I mean, I watched the Board of Health meeting last week, and one of the Board of Health members asked, how many have been sold? Oh, well, here's my sticker, the next one I'm giving out, and there's other people to pick it up, so, oh, maybe about 1,500. You should know exactly. You know, at 5 p.m. today, I've taken in X number of dollars. Doesn't matter what the sticker numbers are. X number of dollars, divide by 125, that's the number of stickers that have gone out. It doesn't matter how many have been physically handed out. Because who knows if they even went out in order, if there isn't a pile of 50 sitting somewhere that weren't open.
Well, I was number 5 to pay, but I didn't get my sticker until I was 203, I think. You know, so there were people that were getting their stickers before.
Right, so all you have to do is say how much money has been taken in, divided by 125, that's the number of people that are enrolled in the program.
Okay.
And I think that to get that, I have to make a public records request, which seems silly.
I think
That
if I
shouldn't
mean, there was
be.
a spreadsheet apparently that Carlos lost a few times for some reason or another. I can
There's
ask.
a spreadsheet?
I heard there was a spreadsheet that she has some technical difficulties with and lost the spreadsheet. Melissa can tell you more about it. She's offered to help.
I don't know about a
think-
spreadsheet, I just want to know how many
Well, I would
dollars have been
imagine.
taken in.
Well, like, I think 200 might be multi, but that's my
That's
mom.
different,
Yeah. I mean, you get close.
Well,
close
you
to
can-
the amount, yeah.
anyway.
I'll try to find that out and get that.
But that makes you why they don't have an
Oh, the number?
exact number is what I'm saying. Although I would hope the spreadsheet would have the dollar amounts on it too.
Beyond me, it's beyond me. Okay, thank you.
My understanding is that there was no sticker given out without payment.
No, I'm not saying that, I don't care about the sticker numbers. I just
Oh.
want to know how many are
Okay.
sold.
All right. Sorry, I don't know that.
And I'm perplexed that it can't be definite. That's all.
Okay. So I also heard from some other people that everybody is, of course, there's lines, and so people get a little testy in the lines, but there's also some rudeness going on, abusive language going on when people are picking up their stickers. They're also blaming the selectmen for causing this ruckus, and it's all our fault,
Who is they?
the people who are picking up their stickers.
Say it.
Of
Say
course.
it. That's fine.
Okay, so
It's what it is.
just, nobody should have to take abuse, is what I'm saying. We also do have a lot, let's see, planning board and zoning still have full seat vacancies, and they are posted. And there are other vacancies that's still available on other boards and committees, and we're still looking for volunteers. Our next meeting is September 2nd at 6 p.m. And 5.5, is there a motion?
I move that we review and pay payroll and bills payable warrants out of session.
And I will second that.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Monica Kell, yes.
Valerie Goodrich, yes.
Laura Schiffern, yes. 5, executive session. 6.1, executive session pursuant to open meeting law, chapter 30A, section 21A3, to discuss strategy respect to collective bargaining if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the public body, and the chair so declares. Clerical union, supervisors union, highway, water union, police union, and fire union. That is my motion. Do it, do it. I have to do it separately or together?
Either way, so,
Both is fine.
Okay, so,
and to,
and 6.2, executive session, oh, and, well, no, let
Do
me
we
do them
need
both.
to-
Let me do them both.
yeah,
6.2, executive session pursuant to open meeting law, chapter 30A, section 21A2, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiation with non-union personnel, to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel, town administrator. And I so move. And we will,
second, adjourn.
we'll adjourn out of executive session, ask that we go into executive at 9:31 PM
And we are adjourning
from
executive
executive session. Yeah, our business is complete. Okay, so I've got a motion and a second.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Roll call,
Veronica Kell, yes.
Valerie Goodrich, yes.
and Laura Schiffern, yes. Thank you all very much, everyone.